with both eClipse and 07.
That's exactly right. I have Foster from 07 and Master Pupil from eClipse. So they're talking a lot about the experience of being in a live event before. You've never really tried this as 07. Can you feel a different mood in the team when you got up this morning?
Yeah, I mean, we're all sort of a little nervous, I'd say. You know, this is obviously a new experience for 8 out of the 10 of us. But, you know, we're pretty happy to be here, and we're looking forward to it.
And Master Pupil, you have pretty high confidence after the last finals, which you won. How big of a confidence boost is that?
We're going to super slam these guys.
And we heard a lot about the Master Pupil Super Slam so far. Are you afraid when he says that he's going to Super Slam you?
Not really. I saw that shirt External had, and he's not that impressive, so.
Let's just explain that shirt real quickly because you haven't seen it, but there was a shirt going around yesterday when the teams got in, which was, I wouldn't say new picture, but you had no shirt on from Snapchat. Any comments on that shirt? We can't show it to the viewers, but how did that shirt even end up here?
So External brought that. The picture got copied, and External from Apex decided to put it on a shirt and show up with it. It was pretty cool. I thought it was funny. And, you know, it's good PR for me, so.
And, of course, all the regular viewers of the season know that we always have a face-off before the battle. And we always end off with saying, do you have any final words for your opponents? And let's hear them, Foster.
You know, good luck, have fun, I guess. And, you know, I really don't have anything else.
You can do better than that. Come on, Master Pupil.
Well, I mean, we're going to have to super slam these guys, as sad as it sounds. Their name is going to be the score, 07-07. That's what it's going to be.
Well, thank you. Okay, go ahead, Foster.
I just want to clarify, it's an O, it's not a 0. I mean, Pupil, I know you missed school a lot last year, but, you know, other than that, just want to make sure you know that.
Okay, let's shake hands just to get everything going off well. Let's get back to our casters and get this game going.
Oh, man, I wish we could have them live at every single face-off.
Oh, that was
incredible.
Awesome.
So it is a 0, or excuse me, it is an O. It's not a 0, but overall, I think 07 is a team that could definitely win the entire event today. In fact, every team is, but it's going to be very difficult against the opponents of eClipse. Like you said, they've been here before. They came out and surprised everyone last season. It's going to be an uphill battle, but I'm excited to see, again, which team shows up here for 07.
Yeah, definitely. If I had to put a percentage on it, I'd put it 60-40 in favor of eClipse right now.
I think that's fair.
But what you got to think is 25% RNG in this game. That's well within that margin. Could go either way.
But the map pool is really what's going to decide it here.
Yeah, the biggest thing that jumped out at me is Ghost Town is a map that 07 have not played
once
all season.
This season at all.
And it is the third map we are going to see tonight. But then we have a map like Proc, which has been one of the staples for eClipse since they became a Gold League team 2 seasons ago. So looking at it, it's going to be a close match. Mines and Cliff are really going to determine a lot. And Cliff isn't even a map that 07 are particularly strong on. And then we're going to finish up with Ruinberg, and if we get there, we'll be on Cliff again. So I think the early maps are really going to mean a lot for 07 if they can get some good momentum going early, going into those maps that eClipse are going to be stronger on. They might be able to cause an upset here.
Yeah, but again, for me, with as far as eClipse too, Ox and Wally have been such a good pickup for this team. Obviously, Master Pupil he's kind of sat in and out of a few of the games as well, but those two have become full-time starting roster for the team. Talk to me a little bit about those guys.
Yeah, well,
and their history.
Before we even talk about those two, something that I want to point out that we haven't actually looked at. If you look up the stage right now, Tigers is not up there. He's been calling for a good portion of the season.
Yeah, pretty much the entire season. What do you think that is?
Well, when you bring in a player like Wallhacks, who has a lot of calling ability, the team's kind of been making some changes through the season. They've been getting the new players more and more evolved. You have to wonder if that's going to play some sort of big effect on this match. When you have Tigers in there, he's been calling for a large majority of the season, and right before a live final, you move him to the bench, or you let he just doesn't play on a couple of maps per se, even if he plays at some point tonight. You kind of have to wonder, is that going to be a gamble that's going to pay off, or could that come back to bite eClipse?
Yeah, we'll have to find out as we are getting ready to get right into the very first map here between Team eClipse and Team 07. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be the first battle of the night. Let me hear some noise from everyone. Yeah. All right, here we go.
Mines, a small summertime map with lots of hills, rocks, and other cover. The teams start the battle in the usual locations, but the base locations are different. One is located in the bottom part of the village, and the other one is in the water. One of the key objectives is the center hill. That's why the teams will often select fast vehicles and tanks with strong turrets for cover.
And here we go, the very first battle of the entire tournament. It's going to be 07 sitting here on the defensive side.
Yep, looking at the lineups, eClipse coming in with a 113, a TVP, 2 TVPs, excuse me, 3 Bat Chats, and a Lorraine 155-51, the tier 8, with all hacks. Wallhacks playing that. Then looking at 07, Nia 7, a Grill, a TVP, 3 Bat Chats of their own, and a T54 lightweight. And right out of the gate, it looks like eClipse is going for the hill, but 07 are taking the south approach here, and they actually have the overmatch, but Lettif and Mako fail the boost.
So unfortunate, and there was early damage on both Brett and Alex Mathis coming out of 07, so early HP pool advantage could have been something more, could have been 2 tanks down.
Definitely, and if you look at it, they had the overmatch on those Bat Chats of eClipse, or they would have had at least a quick 2-on-1 before Vetro got there. So that could have worked out in their favor very early on. Looking at it right now, Fosta floating around on the 9-0 line, trying to get some intel. He does get lit. However, Brett finds him. He's going to start clipping him out in that Bat Chat. He's going to head for the building, gets us some cover. Fosta is actually heading up right underneath the face of that hill. Bat Chat does not have the greatest gun depression, so Brett can no longer find those shots on him.
And Exo and Ox will both be essentially just perma-lighting each other because of that proximity. So the information is going to be there for both teams, at least for one tank. Brett is now no longer lit, and it is Lettif with Kamador right underneath. And something else to note, I mean, you have it. Wally is actually playing in a 155-51, so he is not going to be playing in that tier 8 light that we would most normally see him in.
Yeah, but look at where he's moving right now. With that Lorraine, he has the mobility to push down that one line. T1 Diabetic over there in the Bat Chat, or the TVP, excuse me, is his only support right now. And now Wallhacks should be able to open up some shots towards the east, and these guys hiding underneath the hill. And I'm almost surprised at this point. We haven't actually seen any boost really come out of either team outside of the failed boost by 07.
That zero line boost has been something that's almost been integral in every single game we've seen, and Ox Math is taking huge damage.
Yeah, the Warbander got a shot off onto him for around 700, and then a couple of the TVPs and the Bat Chats in the backfield also tagged some shots in there. And now Wallhacks also has, or excuse me, Ox Mathis also has a dead gunner, and he does not have a first aid kit to heal him up.
So what, for a lot of the new viewers tuning in, what does that dead gunner do for you? Or
just
excuse me, not do for you?
Well, in a Bat Chat, the biggest thing you have to look at is it actually means that they're going to reload slower. In an autoloader, every crew member is technically a loader, and so when one of them goes down, you'll lose a small percentage of your load time. But on top of that, you're just not going to be able to aim as accurately. Exo just trying to get some more prox lights underneath the hill, but he in turn is also staying lit. Ox is extremely fortunate that 07 decided not to bring an artillery this round while sitting on defense, so he can just sit there and prox light, not for free, but without too many problems. As he saw earlier, if he pokes out too far, their tank's ready to punish him, so he just needs to be careful because he only has 296 HP left. Speaking of injured crew members, if you look over at the side of 07 right now, Warbander has a dead loader, and Exo in the Bat Chat has a dead commander, so they're both going to be struggling right now. Most of these players choosing to go for rations over first aid kits, especially in the Bat Chats.
And this, real quick, just to kind of reiterate something that you've really harped on in the past, is a very static defense.
To a certain extent, however, if you look at it, they've made some shifts around. They started off by trying to challenge for the hill.
I mean, Lettif was also at F7, so.
Yeah, and then they decided to back off. They actually moved Kamador over from the 5 line all the way over towards the 9 line right now. But if you look, Wallhacks has actually given up trying to sit over at D1 and has moved back up to A4. The Lorraine already has that flexibility to move around. Ox Mathis is actually trying to get some lights over onto Cam, which is definitely a bit risky just because he's a one-shotter, and if that I-7 manages to land the snapshot, that could be a gun down very quickly for eClipse.
Hawks Mathis is so very low. He is one shot away from being taken out of this battle, but still 7 tanks alive for both teams. The HP pool advantage is, I mean, my math is terrible, but 13 in favor of Eclipse.
Yeah, no, there's almost no difference at this point. We have to see what happens here. Now, 07 need to start thinking about maybe making a play themselves. There's down to about 4.5 minutes.
Right, 4 minutes for 40 on the clock.
Now, they do have the advantage in the sense that because they're even on HP, being the defense, if Eclipse make a push right now, they're going to bleed a lot of HP making that initial push, and it's not until they're actually within brawl range when they're going to start trading evenly, and that would leave it in the favor of 07. So if Eclipse over the next minute or two can find a couple thousand damage on 07, then they can group up and make that really decisive push. But if you look at the top of the screen right now, we're down to just over 4 minutes, which means that Eclipse, being the attacking side, has to make a play and find a way to get past this defense of 07.
Yeah, well, they're running out of time. Another minute has passed in that analysis, James. Only 3 minutes and 59 seconds left. Eclipse is going to eventually have to make a move. And it looks like they are set up mostly towards the west side of the map, with Master People and Drock both on that hill on the 4 line.
Well, it looks like they've figured out that Makos is actually isolated over at H2 down there in the south.
That could be a huge overmatch coming out if they go for a 2-cap play.
Yep, and they've left a good number of guns up onto the hill. So if 07 try to counter push the hill, they're going to get punished for it. And,
and here they come.
That,
it's going to be Vetro and Brett coming around the corner. Makos has to get out of there. They know he's there alone. Is he going to be able to make anything happen as far as a play for his team? Shots on a Makos now. As Brett is also, they have to be careful here though. The team of Eclipse has to be careful not to get tagged from the crossfire. And there it is. Vetro is going to take a shot, taking out a tank though. Makos will fall. And now damage is being exchanged.
And right now it's Eclipse coming out the better. They're about 1,200 up. Warbanner's still down here in Kilo 4, trying to find some shots towards these Batchat or the TVP. The Lorraine has actually moved back down to D1, so we've seen him reposition about 4 times so far this game.
Yeah, that's Wally in that.
In that artillery. So just trying to find the angles to where he can really support his team or try to get some damage and be effective. And as I say that, Warbander taking some splash damage from that artillery.
Right, but look at this shift now. The team of Eclipse has the entire west side of the map in the 2-cap essentially as their own.
Yeah, but look at the push coming out of 07 right now.
Yeah, Static Exo and Commodore.
Yep, the IS-7's hugging the hill. Batchats are pushing out wide. I would expect to see the Batchats do the boost over at A5. It's a rather simple one. They'll get up there. They might find the artillery, and they know at that point that they're relatively secure in the north. What happens a lot of time is people try to push across the Bravo or C line up there in the north, and when you leave a tank up at A4, it's a pretty brutal crossfire between that and the guns in the south. In this case, they're putting all the guns on one side of them, and it's actually Eclipse that don't have any guns in the north outside of the one-shotter Hawks Mathis, and then wall hacks in that artillery.
Wally, yeah. Could be a tough situation. 07 can still definitely do this.
Yep, and Cam knows that Hawks Mathis is there. He just clipped him out, and they should know that Batchat's either only has a few shots left or he's reloading. So why Exo and Static are choosing to back off right now is beyond me.
It looks like Fosta is slowly starting to rotate on top of that donut, that hill, as him and Commodore maybe setting up to try to get the resets. Only 15 seconds left on the clock. 10 seconds now. Eclipse is 8 seconds away from taking this with a cap. Still no angles. Fosta is trying to find something, and there it is. A shot is going to be a huge shot being found on Drock. But still,
the grill, but they need to find the shot on the Master Pupil.
Yes, absolutely.
And there it comes down. But it cost Commodore his life. Here's the thing, they can't cap unless they get a third onto cap, and so they're going to choose to give up. They have to kill all 7 of the tanks, or all 5 of the tanks left for 07 right now in the next 35 seconds.
And this is now looking like a fantastic situation for 07 as Lede finds T1 Diabetic. Drock does find the kill, though, in Fosta. In that trade, it is a tier 8 light, but even still, they need to wipe out the rest of 07 to make this round count. Only 20 seconds left, James. 07 could draw first blood.
Yeah, 07 should get this here unless they make a mind-blowing mistake at this point. Exo's all the way back to A2 behind the rock.
Shot. onto Vetra. I mean, he is going to go down, but it's not going to matter. It is going to be 07. Wait a second.
Drock's going to come in here, but it's not enough. They
It's
can't
not
get the
enough,
XR
no.
static.
So there it is, 07 stealing. If you could almost argue that first battle away from Eclipse. Nerves be damned. They played very well.
Well, a very long battle. They played the clock very well, and they just outpaced Eclipse to a certain extent. Eclipse was just trying to find an opening. They made them worry early on about taking the hill. Then they backed off. They repositioned. They did give up Makos for essentially free. I would have liked to see them punish those tanks a bit better. However, they got him down, but then they still recovered. They very quickly regrouped and took the north once they realized majority of the tanks had moved down that one line, and they got them up there, and they got themselves in positions to get those resets. And once they knew they were down to about 2 minutes and they still had 6 guns alive, they just sat there and they played the clock. They got the resets when they needed them. It was a little bit close there. The cap getting down to about 6 seconds at one point. And then that first shot out of the grill only hit the TVP, only reset it by a couple seconds. But once they got
5 seconds, yeah.
But once they got the reset onto Master Pupil, then it was pretty much at that point either Eclipse needed to group up another tank, put them all onto the cap and try to really force that cap pressure to make them push more tanks in, or they had to go chase them. And one thing you have to remember in this format, if there are still guns alive on both teams and no one is capped, when the time runs down, defense wins. Yeah. So, and that's exactly what happened. They still had guns alive. Eclipse could not cap. They got reset every time they tried. And they ended up giving up on the cap itself. And 07 just played things smart, and they ran the clock down.
It almost seemed at a point like the 07 was being a little static, but then as you pointed out, as soon as we were going to allude to that, they changed things up. We saw Ledif back up. Again, Mako's kind of being on the west side of the map. He was down, I think, the one line by himself. You definitely could argue that 07 could have done a little bit of a job of trading for him, but even still, they did a fantastic job of running down the clock and beating Eclipse there.
Well, and it was such a great push out of Eclipse, too, because they left T1 Diabetic in that TVP back on the one line.
Right.
So when those bat chats pushed down, Makos didn't really have anywhere to go. He either had to try to fight the 2 bat chats, or he had to back up and leave his back to the TVP of T1 Diabetic, and there was just too many guns that overwhelmed him, and he went down.
But it is now going to be up to 07 to take this on offense. As Mines, we've seen, generally speaking, it is a very defensively favored map. Most of the matches of the season have gone towards the favor of defense.
Well, and something you have to remember is with the boost coming out, it's actually kind of opened up this map a bit more for the offense lately.
Sure.
Looking at the lineups here, kind of interesting. 450 Bs, a bat chat, and 2 tier 9 bats for Eclipse.
Okay.
Well, 07 and IS7, 2 TVPs, 2 bat chats, and 2 bat chat APs. And all these 50 Bs going straight for the hill in one giant wolf pack, looking for the engagement if 07 decided to challenge the hill. However, there's nothing there, so they're just going to go ahead and push on through. And Eclipse are just looking for the brawl at this point.
I mean, there's really no other reason to bring those 50
and they find
Bs.
Ledif doing the boost.
Oh my goodness, good night!
night! He goes down.
Ledif is down for free. Wally, though, will be traded out.
Trades back and forth. The 50 Bs are going to go ahead and push onto Commodore and Warbander.
So much damage coming onto these 2 tanks, but T1 Diabetic is going to take a shot. Damage is being traded overall. And now shots onto Commodore and Warbander. Is Warbander go down? Still alive, going for a ramp. And there it is.
But now
The
these 50
shot
Bs
from
are
Diabetic.
reloading. Commodore can sit here. He has the consistent fire tank. He should be able to find T1, but T1's going to head for the rock. Master Pupil's going to get in the way.
Doing a beautiful job here of
Block
getting
him
in the
there.
way. Yeah.
He has the HP. He's saying, just shoot me, and he knows that he's going to reload before Commodore can possibly kill him. However, looking over at 07 right now, they still have 5 guns alive and a relatively healthy amount of HP. T1 Diabetic's a one-shotter, so this isn't over yet. Makos having to back off in the south here. Eclipse getting very aggressive up onto the hill, making sure they know where everyone is, just proc sliding Makos as he runs around, and Vetra's gonna be waiting, and he actually tracks Makos. Another track shot, and Makos is tracked in position now. EXO coming around to help him, but they will clip out Makos.
And wow, what an incredible job here from Eclipse to answer back again. We saw the 50B picks, which meant that they wanted this brawl. This is absolutely what they were looking for.
Well, you saw that just in how they set up. They just they put their finger on the W key and kept going. They just drove up and over the middle. They didn't even try to go for the hill. I wasn't entirely sure what they were going to go for that lineup. You have to imagine they were going to contest the hill in some matter, but the fact that they were just going to be that aggressive, just push up and over, that I didn't see. Master Pupil and Ox Mathis just going to push through right now
they're
with
just
these
going to
50
hunt
Bs.
and finish the job. They're going to clean up their plate and tie it up 1-1. eClipse. There it is, the Bad Chat, the best armored tank in the game. It's always bouncing every time. And that, you know, obviously with the new physics change, it's been a tribute to that, because before you were telling me that the Bad Chat pretty much had no armor.
Well, it still does.
I mean, it still does.
It just, with the HD model that it received recently, the angles on it, and just how they play them. When they drive them, they change the angles quickly. Shots hit just the one random angle on the Bat Chat where it's just an auto bounce and the shell just goes flying off, ricochets off. And how many of those we've seen this season, I almost can't explain.
It's been crazy. That's why it's a joke of how good the armor is on the Bat Chat.
Yeah, definitely. And we're actually moving on to our second map, which is going to be Cliff.
Right.
Which is a map that 07 really haven't played that well this season.
It's really 07 and Cliff here in the series that or excuse me, 07 with Cliff and Ghost Town that I'm looking at for this series. Noticing that they haven't even played Ghost Town once this entire season, and Cliff, it's been a little shaky for them. So this is really crunch time, because they may not even get to see some of the later maps in this pool.
Yep. Well, another thing to look at.
I mean, so far they're playing well. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to throw them out at all.
Well, another thing to look at here is when 07 beat Eclipse during the second round robin. The last map in that series was Cliff. They only played one round on it. However, it was 07 attacking, and they managed to pick up the win. And that's what ended up deciding that series in favor of 07, 5-2.
That's true. That's
so
very true.
While 07 haven't played it that well on the season, especially compared to Eclipse's numbers, Eclipse on Cliff 9-4, which is pretty respectable. But then looking at 07, 6-11. So it's a map just overall that they've really, or that 07 have just struggled on. But last time they played each other, it worked out in favor of 07, so we'll have to see if they can repeat that right now. And it will actually be 07 attacking first when we get in here.
Yeah, and just looking at the damage, Ox Mathis, again, being somewhat of a new pickup here, just doing exceptional almost every single game. He's always usually on top. Master Pupil is also a very consistent member of Eclipse that we see as far as damage and numbers, just farming damage, as you call it.
Yeah, well, and if you look at how many shots they both got through, 11 and 12 shots out of 50 Bs, that means they got into 3 clips at least, which is pretty crazy. But just looking at how the game played out, they got in there, they got 1 clip off. There was great teamwork there between Master Pupil and T1 Diabetic, keeping T1 Diabetic alive for a bit longer.
Right.
And you still have to look, even with all that happening, Master Pupil still managed to put up good damage. And then looking at the second page, Wallhacks in the Bat Chat, who even got isolated very early on, still did almost 1,000 damage in the Bat Chat. So everyone for Eclipse doing a good bit there, but Ox Mathis really carried that game through for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And there he is, Ox Mathis.
Yep, the kid himself. And if you, both these teams, 07 actually overall, I think, are one of the oldest teams here right now. But Eclipse and Deja Vu both have fairly young teams.
Yeah, very young members. Which is, to be honest, just impressive in and of itself. You have very young players that are able to compete at this level at that age. That's crazy to think where they're going to be in this game in the next 5 years.
Yep, well, and it's something that Meadowhawk talked about during the pregame is this is a game where individual skill in terms of your shooting ability and that sort of thing only goes so far.
Yeah,
you
it's
have
important to have.
Anyone, even, you know, people, not necessarily kids, but older people as well, if you have good map awareness, you put thought into it, and you think about everything you do, you can compete with a lot of these players.
Right, and that can be just as useful as being, you know, the best shooter in the league. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of these guys have that, and the thing that's most impressive to me is seeing younger guys like Wally who have those expansive minds to already come up with these strategies and really control their team on the map, and to think about all the different angles and the crossfires. Like that, to me, more than anything, is more impressive than having, you know, Twitch shooting skills.
Yep, and it looks like there's actually a roster change going on right now. 407, they just subbed in Zone Delta, it looks like.
Okay.
So we will be just a minute as they get that set up. We do allow for a couple roster changes during the matches, so they're choosing to put in Zone Delta right now on Cliff.
Okay, and what do you think the benefit of that could be for the team here of 07?
Some teams, just the way they set up and they practice, they have certain players that play different tanks better than others on their team. So in this case, maybe it's just that Zone Delta plays a bat chat, and looking at Cliff, you need 7 bat chats to a certain extent these days.
Sure.
Either you're running 5 bats and 2 tier 9 bats, or you're running just mostly bat chats and a TVP. And look at this is where this all fell to get apart for 07 to a certain extent. They still won this game.
They still won, but I mean, oh no.
They slip off, and it's EXO, the only one that makes it up there, the Boostmaster himself.
And then here was that huge shot onto Drock, but it wasn't the reset they needed until they found it on Pupil here in that 113.
Yeah, it was actually Commodore that poked over there in the back and got that reset that really secured that game.
Yeah. But you know what?
407.
That's why you don't ice skate uphill, because that's literally what it looked like when they fell. Don't. Okay, that's fine.
All right, Dustin. Looking at it, we are just a moment away from, looks like 30 seconds. No, we'll have 45 seconds here in a second.
45 seconds.
Yep, and we'll be underway. It is 1-1 right now, going into Cliff. And as I was saying earlier, this is a map that 07 just on the season have not played that well. But last time they played, they came out on top. Now we'll have to see what they can do. And the thing to look at with Cliff is, like I've said all season, it's such a map that's just Russian roulette based to a certain extent. How you set up initially often determines the whole battle right then and there. It can be over just a matter of, I think the quickest battle we saw was 1 minute and 45 seconds.
It was incredibly fast.
And it was actually by eClipse, I believe, that we saw against, I believe it was High, where they just pushed up and over the middle, and they just
Is that the
went.
fastest we've seen?
It was 1 minute 45 seconds.
Because I know we saw another team dominate really quickly on the map.
I think that was Apex, but I don't remember that match. But the one I'm talking about was eClipse versus High.
Yeah,
and it was,
no, I remember. Trust me. It was very lightning fast.
Yep, and it was just the setup from High. They left a couple tanks over towards the 9 line, and so when eClipse just went up and over, they had the instant overmatch. They had all the bat shots and auto loaders there, so they're able to pump out a lot of damage. And then all of a sudden you have 2 tanks over on the 9 line that have to come back, and the rest of the team's dead already, so what are they going to do? And that's why I'm saying the opening setup for both these teams on both sides is just so crucial. So often we see a lot of teams split 2 line and towards the 6th line in the middle, and one group normally gets isolated. We've seen also sorts of traps where they try to get some early damage on stuff pushing the 2 line. So it's that initial setup which really determines how these teams are going to start, because if you start off a game, 1 or 2 tanks down, on a map like this, the other team could just drive forward essentially, and just they have the HP, they have the burst, and they can just take you down right then and there.
Right, but I mean that's the beauty of Cliff being literally the most dynamic map in the league, because it has that ability. We started off the season of Cliff being a very fast-paced map. We would have teams just kind of go for the hill and brawl, and then it kind of slowed down. So I'm really interested to see how it's going to play out here between these 2 teams in the live finals, which means that we are going to get right into the map between eClipse and 07.
Cliff, the most dynamic map in the league. Battles on Cliff always turn into desperate double-edged fights. Teams start from the same spots as they do in standard battles. The first base is located near the defender's spawn point, and the second is at the bottom of the hill. Sometimes teams split their forces and send several tanks through the 1-2 line to the left of the small hill, but usually both teams play at the center. The attacking team can send one of the tanks up to the lighthouse or behind it. Fast and quick-firing vehicles are better suited for this map, mainly medium tanks, including tanks equipped with autoloaders.
And it is 1-1 here as we head into the second map between eClipse and 07, as we see 5 bat shots, a TVP, and an AMX 1390 coming out of Fossa there in the Tier 8 light. And eClipse, though,
Coming in with 5 bat shots, a TVP, and a T49.
And the Obliterator cannon on the T49.
But look at this push out of 07 right now. They're going up and over in the middle. They're looking for the rest of the guns from eClipse. eClipse are set up.
Oh, they're set up so well to punish this, and look at all the damage that's already come onto Static, and down he goes. Zone Delta now may follow unless he gets behind some cover.
And that's already 2,000 HP done for 07. Looking at it right now, just all of a sudden, this is what I'm talking about. The initial setup for both these teams can often determine how this game plays out. 07 tried to go for a very aggressive up and over, try to catch out some guns pushing towards the hill. However, eClipse were set up with a much more passive defense and set up to do damage. Vetro up at A5, Brett sitting down there at D4, and they also had a Master Pupil over at D3 on the backside of the hill there. And they were able to pump out just so much damage onto Static. He goes down. Zone Delta was fortunate not to get tracked out in the open because it could have been him down as well.
So it is going to be Fosta and a Warbander down that 8 line up on the hill. They are going to be able to see, or excuse me, have some vision. But being a tank down in this huge life deficit, Ledev takes the shot, or multiple shots, and he is now down to a 1 shot. Oh, the house actually saves his life. And a bounce.
That bad shot.
Are you kidding me?
That bad shot. Lost for words sometimes. The problem right now is 07 are trying too hard to force something, I feel. They're looking for all these openings. They go very early with the just aggressive push over the middle, trying to make something happen. They bleed a low HP, and then they make this secondary push down the 1 line, trying to catch these guns out.
Is he bullying Fosta off? And he's going to survive. But still getting bullied off the top of the lighthouse. Now it's going to be Ox and T1 Diabetic at top. Or excuse me, on top. And let's go ahead and take this chance to have a listen in with eClipse.
They're leaving.
Nobody's spotting this side of mid that I'm on.
Can I go kill the 1390? I'm gonna go.
Good shot. 1390.
I'm gonna go.
I think Lidif is still stuck.
Okay, we need a full. Can we, Brett, are you okay? Who's healthy?
Yeah.
Brett or people?
I have health.
Brett's healthy.
The people on
but I
hill,
can-
They
I
have
can
a
follow
one-shot bet. They have a one-shot bet on the 1 line.
Okay.
So
There's-
you want me to come to you?
No, it's
shot,
okay.
1390.
I'm lighting. I'm seeing that fucking light him leaving.
Jock. He got
I'm turning
out.
around.
Stop.
Yeah, I'm
stop.
turning around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're
Brett, just
fine.
stay
We're
up
on
there.
defense. I got 2 still, Ox.
No, reload, dude. Just reload.
I'm reloading. I'm clipping. I make sure he thinks
For
I'm
fuck's sake.
fully
Yeah.
clipped.
Fuck
I
yeah.
have 4.
Climbing hills. This shit's lame.
I'm
Got 30
spotting.
seconds.
I'm spotting on 9 line again.
If you see him coming up, just go in the dip over.
Can we move
I can
Brett up?
cover
Is
Drock.
it possible? Can we get under here?
You mean under where?
Yeah,
like,
he should be able to. I can't
No,
support
no.
him,
Stay.
though.
Are you high? He's high. Never mind.
Yeah, he's
yeah,
high.
I'm up high. What do you-
Yeah, I'm fucking high right now, boys.
A big weed.
We need to make sure they cannot
You're on
cross
hill.
back this way. That's it. Okay.
They
can
can.
spot
It
it.
doesn't matter though. We have
They
so
can
many
go
hit
up.
points on
They
them.
can go from base.
This is-
Okay, there's Sun Delta still.
2 bats there.
Foster,
Okay.
1390
1390.
mid. 1390 mid. We're on defense. We're good.
I have 4 still.
I'm full. I got
Okay.
full clip.
I'm just gonna reload.
Okay, they have a 1.5 health bad chat, and I'm sure I don't know
Multiple
what the
half
hell.
health.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
PvP's
there's
half
2
health.
half health.
1390's 1
Who's
shot.
healthy on our team?
Me, I'm
That's
full.
I'm full.
I'm full.
full.
I got 1308.
Ox
Why, did you guys
Metro,
just eat?
Brett.
Why are you guys full?
Little.
Did you guys just eat food or something? I'm
Yeah.
already full.
No, actually, I haven't eaten anything today except like a bar. I'm fucking hungry.
Bar of chocolate.
5
Yeah.
minutes.
hungry.
Oh yeah, I had
520.
chocolate too. I have 10 seconds.
I mean, I feel like
you can light this, right? If they cross.
Yeah, Brett can. Well,
Okay,
Brett
I'm gonna
should
get
be
on the
able
ramp where Ox usually plays.
Oh, don't leave the
So-
hill. Don't.
No,
Yeah,
not, no, no,
I'm
no,
not.
no. He's
I'm right
fine.
here.
We know
Good.
they're on 3 line, okay? So
Yeah.
don't expose yourself to that.
I'm good where I'm at. No,
I'm
but
lit.
they can be lit if they even try to get.
You got to make sure that you eat breakfast in the morning. It's the most important meal of the day.
Oh, absolutely. And looking at it right now, the funny thing is they have time to sit there and joke
Yeah,
around
no,
while they
they-
try to break this defense. Well,
It's-
they're on defense and they know it, and they know
Right.
that they have a huge HP lead right now. So they're not even. There is
But
no
okay,
pressure
so
on them.
again, something to note though is this is kind of something we alluded to the last time we saw eClipse kind of have a mini breakdown when they lost. Is there is a lot of useful communication in there, but there's also that kind of case of too many Chiefs, not enough Indians, which we've criticized them, and even Pupil has said in the past we need to kind of clean up comms.
Yep, and to a certain extent, there wasn't a whole lot for them to be saying. They're
Sure.
looking at, they're trying to get intel, but at the same time, they're able to just be loose enough to kind of joke around up there, not be stressed out.
But my point
not
is
be wound
when
up.
it's a stressful situation, that is still going to, the comms will most likely still be that kind of, we need to do this, and then the disagreements of what I'm talking about.
Yeah, true. And at this point, 07 have actually gotten the few remaining high HP tanks they have up towards the hill. Exo does get lit along with Makos. Warband are already up
It
there.
is T1 Diabetic and Ox Mathis, though, with full clip bat shots, just waiting, daring someone to come up that hill.
Yep, now they know that Exo's there, but I don't think they've spotted Makos. Meanwhile, Vetro finally
no, there it
finds
is.
Ledif.
So Ledif trying to survive down that 1 line on the map finally does get taken out. He was 1 shot for so very long.
Yep, but Trade's going back. Ox being focused out. He's going to try to leave the hill. He gets, well, actually, he just gets down into the low ground.
He's down on the low ground now, and it's going to be T1 Diabetic on the hill trying to work the angles onto Exo here as he's going to push right past and try to get shocks onto Ox. And Ox is going to slide all the way down. Still, eClipse is in the driver's seat here, but 07 is making moves to slowly take their HP pool advantage away.
And this is pretty much over for 07
And
at this
Master
point.
People is dead, yeah.
They just do not have the HP or the guns to really get back into this fight. They did the best play that I feel they could have at that point, given the circumstance. They got the few high HP tanks that they had, and they tried to force an overmatch. But just the crossfire from eClipse was just set up. They understood where a lot of the tanks were.
That initial push, yeah, that initial push cost 07 so much.
Yeah, well, the positioning of the tanks up on the hill was near perfect. They understood, all right, all we have to do if they push up onto us is just drive over here to the defilades, get in the low ground, and the guns sitting in the distance can cover us. And so that's a way that, despite being far apart, they let a majority of the guns for their team be in that fight. And so, and that's exactly what 07 didn't want. They wanted to keep that even, you know, a 2-on-2 or a 3-on-2 in their favor, because when you have more guns and more HP in one fight, it's going to work out for you typically.
And they perfectly understood that, and which is why they held their position, and they did such a good job just making sure that 07 was essentially drowned out.
Yep, exactly. And now it's going to switch sides. We are going to see 07 now defending. Looking at it, though, I kind of wonder, are we going to see 07 stay as aggressive as they've been so far tonight? Because they've opened up very aggressively
they have.
throughout the series. The only time they weren't was that attack on Mines. Which still eClipse just went up and over, and they just kind of caught them out. It looked like they were setting up for an aggressive 9-line push, but eClipse had other ideas. And now, looking at it, look at the damage out of T1 Diabetic, 2,600 over 12 shots. Ox and the Drock also doing well.
Right up there. Ox has been just so integral in this team as far as damage dealt.
Yep, but then Exo and Warbander also doing a decent job for 07, but 1,800 is the top damage on team. That's barely the full HP of another tank, and so that kind of tells you how the whole series...
Yeah, the HP of a bad shot.
Yep, exactly. So that just kind of tells you how the series as a whole went for the team, and then Static, the poor fellow that got caught out making that opening push for 07.
He did not contribute much.
Couldn't even fire a shot.
Yeah, and that's, again, he got caught out. And of the tanks that had done that initial push, it was actually Ledif in front. It was Static kind of getting the band end of the stick there, if you will.
Yep, and it's... When you're a player like Static, it's so frustrating in those sort of situations where there's a whole group of 5 or 6 of you making that push, and you just happen to be the one that gets focused out, and you go down within the first minute of the game. And then you have to sit there and let your teammates try to figure out the rest of that game, and there was nothing really you could do about it. It's not like he got caught out doing his own thing or making some sort of bizarre push by himself.
His team.
He was with his team doing what they wanted, and when you just get focused out like that, you just have to put your hands up. Well, that's how it's going to happen, and you just have to watch the game play out from there.
Again, he wasn't even the lead. He wasn't even the last tank in that push. He was literally just the middle of the pack, and for whatever reason, the rage from eClipse all ended up onto him.
Yep, absolutely, and it's kind of impressive as well that they were able to keep all their guns firing onto him.
That is true.
Despite being in the middle of
true.
that bat chat. Or maybe in the middle of that bat chat pack, as it were.
So 07, again, they are going to be bringing 5 bat chats, a TVP, and a 1390, but... and
eClipse, the same lineup, just switching out the 1390 for the T54 lightweight.
Yeah. Actually, we did see a T49 as well, but that has also been removed. And this opening play can play such a big role in how these matches play out on Cliff.
Well, the funniest thing I find about this game is both these teams are set up super passively at this point. 07 sitting kind of deep on the one line. They've pushed up for their bat chats into the middle here at E3. But
and
look
Exo
at this
is
setup.
going to start climbing up as well that hill. So, I mean, he's really the farthest out on his team as far as positioning goes right there on that 7 line. And it's going to be T1 Diabetic and Ox Mathis. They're actually just going to chill.
And so often we talk about who's the boost master between Vetro and Exo. I didn't even know the spot existed until Vetro just did it. And he has great shots over towards the donut where a majority of the tanks of 07 are. And as I was saying, look at this setup for Eclipse right now. They have one tank on the backside of the hill there. Oxmathis is a little bit exposed in the middle there. And then Drock and Brett sitting deep, so if anyone pushes onto Ox or T1 Diabetic, they can support each other. But then they have Vetro up here on this boost, Master People in the TVP, and then the T54 Lightweight of Wallhacks just sitting there trying to light anything. And if 07 pop up the wrong place, they will get punished for it.
Remember when we talked about seeing things that we haven't seen before at the finals? That's a really neat spot.
Well, it's just an interesting strat out of an attacking team as well. They kind of figure, all right, both the other teams have been very, very aggressive so far this series, so let's just try to catch them out, set up with a more passive defense, even though we're attacking essentially, and see if we can, maybe trick them into giving us a gun or two for free, and then make our job
I do like
attacking.
the switch up though. I really do like the switch up here from 07. You were right. They were very aggressive the first couple of games, and now they're kind of toning it down a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing to look at right now is 07 have actually pulled a bunch of guns, well, their Batchats anyways, towards the hill, and they might be able to find or assume they have an overmatch on T1 Diabetic. I don't know that they know for sure how many guns are sitting there covering him, because this could turn out very poorly for 07 if they're not careful. And we actually have player point of views right now. So this is exactly what Vetro's seeing, how his game's set up. His crosshair, if you look down at the bottom, he's running rations instead of the first aid kit. Batchat running 20 APCR shells and 10 heat shells. And someone gets spotted, and he should find some shots. Misses the first on the Letif. Letif actually gets down before he fires again, and Vetro just decides to hold his shots, not waste one on a low probability shot. 07 are not on a bad situation, and 07 have, the one thing that 07 have done so far tonight is manage the clock very well. It's what won them that first game they have, and they're on track to doing it again.
I agree with you 100%.
They're 4 minutes in. They've only have EXO, who's down one shot of HP, and his dead gunner again. That's actually been something that's been a big problem so far tonight. A lot of these players are deciding to run rations over running a first aid kit, and just as it happens, you take one shot, and all of a sudden that's a dead gunner that you have to live with for the rest of the game.
Especially in a bad shot of all tanks.
Yep, absolutely. And Zone Delta just sitting up here in the bush trying to light stuff. And Eclipse need to find some sort of opening here. They need to kind of make a play. And Zone Delta and Static are actually kind of grouping up towards this hill again, and they may make a play. And I like this out of a defense, being aggressive, taking the initiative, just as long as they can do it smart.
You know what? And as we start to head towards a more aggressive 07 here, making a play, let's go and get in on their comms.
I'm gonna light the 9. Okay.
Okay, we're good. We just need to wait.
Whichever bats haven't been lit that have boosted up on the hill do not get lit. I'm just staying safe until anything happens. It's not a push.
It's he's pushing this.
It's a push.
Yeah. How many is that? 4?
It's 4 tanks.
Just don't bleed. Don't bleed to donut when we're on hill. Don't bleed to donut.
Akos is just gonna spot south.
Watch out for.
Warbender will have shells. Warbender will have
He
shells.
will have shells, but if you
light.
have spots.
Makos is the light. I'm aimed north side of donut right here.
I'm aimed here as well.
They're trying to bait us into being aggressive on hill to punish.
Yeah.
Don't
get
all down here.
Static, watch your turret. Watch T1 on your turret, Static.
I haven't been spotted.
Oh, okay.
Do you want me to D4? I can't. Oh, there's wall hacks.
B3. B3 should be where you
Oh,
are.
there's Vetro pushing.
They might be trying to get lights to counter out A5.
Probably. If they start shooting him from other places, we can get him on hill.
Alright, there's one shot.
Don't spot it again.
There's 2 in the clip.
Akos got lit.
They might try to shoot Makos from down here. They're gonna try and shoot Makos from down here. Be careful. The 54 can hit you, I think.
Akos is just.
I have 2 in the clip. I'm clipped.
No, he can't from his position. He has to climb up top.
Okay, will you light him then, Pasta? He can't shoot Makos. Okay. 4 minutes.
Probably I won't be spotted by the
Should Makos
54,
be on
but if they're
ramp
gonna
still?
go,
Or should I clip?
if they're gonna push like into here,
many shells do you have?
I'm gonna get
4.
tracked.
Akos has 4.
I mean, it doesn't look like they're grouped enough to make any push right now.
I'm clipping.
We're just bleed more time. We've got 350.
Don't spot it again, T1.
They're trying to find something and they haven't found anything yet.
Yeah, they've found nothing.
Do we have lights on this just in case? Or? Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Mechos.
Yeah.
I'll light them if they're in.
I know the problem is that wall hacks. Nice. First, make sure Fostek will not get shot by this.
I'm aimed over there. If he pushes underneath you, B3.
You guys got lit.
They're pushing hill.
They're pushing hill.
Pushing hill.
Good. That's good. That's good.
TVP's firing from donut.
They're pushing up mid.
Donut fired 3 or 4
I'm clipping.
each. 3 or 4 each. We should kill these 2 tanks on hill. We should kill these 2 tanks on hill with static.
Go, just fire another on me.
He's tracked. Kill him. Nice.
Ox is out.
You could probably take 1 shot
Vetro's
each
coming.
Ox.
He shot 2. Vetro shot 2.
Nice.
Vetro shot
Nice.
2.
Static's clipping, static's clipping, static's clipping, static's clipping.
I'm gonna kill Vetro.
No, he dropped.
Actually, you guys are
Careful,
taking my
careful,
back
careful.
out. I have 26.
Wait for Warbender.
I have the
Warbender
full
has
clip.
position.
If Fox pushes forward.
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
There's a tank on donut still.
Clip
The
it.
problem is,
Be
I can
mindful.
be ruined from the donut.
Same here.
They can spot me though.
Keep watching 9
Yo,
line.
zone, where I died is vulnerable to donut.
Zone, poke
Be
over
careful.
and watch
TVP's here,
9 line.
TVP's here.
Okay.
So I have 9 seconds.
Shit. Oh, no, they're coming
Zone
up.
16. Zone 16.
Run, run, run.
Take a shell from Exo. Take 1 shell. No, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
Don't spot it. Don't spot it.
I still have 10. I still have 10 seconds.
2 minutes 15. 2 minutes 15.
Static's loaded, but I need to stay down for now.
I'm clipping.
Nice shot. He's.
Fuck, I'm down.
Can you kill that zone? Zone can kill that. Be careful.
You're gonna get lit by the lightweight.
I know, he can. No, he will not.
Zone missed. They know zone shooting.
I have 10 seconds on the clip.
Alright.
I got killed for free from donut.
You know, although 07 lost this battle, I gotta say, I loved the comps. Very cool, calm and collected. They were taking the fights they knew they wanted, and they were controlling the hill what they could. Also, I really love the counting of the shells. That was really great information coming out of 07 to his teammate.
Yeah, there's just so many little
One
things.
of the members of 07 to his team, excuse me.
There's just so many little things that you have to manage, especially when there's so many autoloaders on the field. Knowing when one tank is clipping, just calling it out constantly, what's going on, I've been firing or did this, they're going to know that.
That was really great communication.
And it was pretty good anticipation by 07 as well. However, the problem is that 07 just, at that point, they had the HP lead, and they managed to just get more guns up onto that hill, and they just kind of found that overmatch. The TVP was able to go up there with full HP and really cause some havoc and make them back off. Yeah, from eClipse. Go up, push the hill, and force those tanks from 07 back, and at that point, they couldn't recover. They were in it. After that first push, they managed to claw back in, get a couple thousand HP. They traded it back out, but that second push from eClipse with Master Pupil and this TVP coming in, 2,500 damage over 10 shots. He was able to get in there and really turn that battle around for his team.
It's actually really weird to see Ox not at the top here for the team of eClipse.
Well, he got focused out. Not to say, well, yeah, he got focused out early. Once they pushed up onto the hill, they made sure to focus him and Vetro out just because of where they were. It's not that they were looking for him in particular, but they were just the tanks left on the hill, and at one point you heard, all right, Ox is reloading, let's try to get some shots on him, and then Vetro pushed around. They said, all right, focus out Vetro. And then I have Vetro, and Vetro barely got off the hill before, I believe it was Zone Delta found the kill shot.
So overall, though, really great from eClipse. This is kind of one of the strengths of this team that we noticed throughout the season is their ability to break defense.
Yep, well, a lot of teams, for some reason, especially in Cliff, tend to run some more of these passive defenses lately, and they don't quite have that second layer element down yet, where they know that they can't stay passive for too long.
And there's the inventor of the Super Slam, just to interrupt you real quick, Master Pupil.
Yep. So great performance out of him for this series, but we have to see if he can keep it up. And it's great when you have a team like that where, anyone can step up. Master Pupil stepped up this game, even though Ox couldn't. And just overall, just the interchangeability between that team has been so good so far this season. But my point is you have to have multiple layers to strats, even when your defense and you're planning on not camping, but just playing super passive.
And we've seen one-dimensional defenses been broken down before, and that's not to say that 07 really ran a one-dimensional defense, but overall, the teams that haven't had like a plan B or a plan C or even a plan D have been the ones that have struggled the most in the league because their initial plan or their official strategy doesn't work out, and then that's when we either see teams rise to the occasion and really come up with a good counterattack or fall apart.
Yeah, absolutely. And something I want to take a second to talk about as we go into Ghost Town. 07 once again making
They have not
a roster
played.
change.
Right, but they have also not played a single time during the season. That is blowing my mind.
And that this could either be a great thing for them or this could be
a disaster.
Yeah. Now, I guarantee you they've probably scrimmed on this a good bit. They should have some idea.
I'm not saying they've never played the map, period, but in the season, they haven't touched it.
Yep, so as long as they play their cards close to their chest, as it were, and they haven't given eClipse a whiff of what they're going to do, once again, they could come out with some very corny strats we haven't seen.
What could 07 be cooking in that kitchen, you know what I'm saying?
Yep, or they could just have a very solid standard play for Ghost Town that they just haven't run, and maybe they've been practicing it to the point where they can just execute it very well right now.
All right, well, here we go. The third map between 07 and eClipse is going to start.
Ghost Town. The first absolutely symmetrical map, made especially for 7 versus 7 games. The teams start the battle on opposite sides. There are numerous ways to attack here. One of the bases is located in the central square, the other one at the top of the city. The hardest battles are usually fought for the top base, and this calls for the use of heavy tanks. Sometimes the teams choose fast tanks for spotting and base capturing.
Looking at the lineups, eClipse 450Bs, a bat chat, and a 2 tier 9 bat chats. I had to make sure that wasn't a mistake. That is legitimately the lineup they're running right now. So the same lineup they brought on Mine's attack, or defense, excuse me. And now looking at 07, an E100, a 113, a T57, 250Bs, a bat chat, and an RU251. A very interesting lineup out of the defense.
Oh, and very early we're seeing potentially a push coming out of eClipse already. EXO is going to spot Drock as well as Wally and T1 Diabetic, Makos as well. This is already making up for a crazy moment. That overmatch from Vetro, Master Pupil may be coming over to Makos. And down goes Makos already to Brett. Very early advantage here. No, wait a second. Drock is going to fall to EXO. Batchat tier 9. Brett now taking a lot of damage, getting shots onto Ledev, backing up, and now he has Master Pupil in front of him to simp.
Vetro trying to simp from the guys in the middle here.
But EXO is essentially running with his pants down. He got caught.
Yeah, absolutely, and now Vetro has to run. Master Pupil's getting focused out. And 07 just playing very aggressive right here. They know these 50Bs are mostly reloading. They know Brett's a one-shotter. They know Vetro's a one-shotter.
And they actually have the HP advantage.
They're going for the kills before they can get into their second clips.
Yeah, Warbander is going to take out Brett. And all of a sudden, this is looking very decent for 07 here.
Yeah, absolutely. Kamador and that E100 is just pumping out shell after shell. That E100 does not have the greatest DPM, but it has consistent fire.
Yeah.
So these 50Bs, while they're reloading, he's just able to pump out shell after shell.
And against that bounce chat, getting shots on the Ledev, one shot away. Down he goes, T1 Diabetic. Very nice, good shooting.
Static trying to take on T1 Diabetic.
Oh,
he's not going to be able to kill him.
And neither of them can be able to kill each other. Maybe, I mean, Static, you could argue, could go for a ram, but that's probably not enough.
Well, the thing you have to
but here
remember
comes Fosta in the 251. And down he goes.
Well, the other thing you have to remember, doesn't matter at this point, but that T57 is going to load every time before the Bat Chat tier 9. So he would have had him one way or another. However, Fosta made the play, went and picked up the kill. It's a 4v4 right now. Both teams have a one-shotter. However, 07, their one-shotter is the RU251.
It's a tier 10. Or no, well, I mean, eClipse has the tier 10 as a one-shot. And yeah, 07, their one-shot is, it's a tier 8 light. So arguably, the advantage is here for 07. Not only the HP pool, but as well as the tanks that are still left.
Yep, and now 07 are regrouping. They're getting their guns together, and they're backing out right now. Fosta has repositioned up into the north, make sure there's nothing pushing around towards the 8-9 line. Kamador and Warbander both relatively healthy at this point. However, looking over at eClipse, they have these 250Bs with 1,200 and 1,300 HP, and they're going to have a lot of burst damage between the three of them, especially if they can keep Vetro alive. They're just rotating through the south
rotating
here.
together. Retro literally cannot give anything.
Well, if the other two 50Bs can bait some shots and 07 just either fire their shots off in haste, or they just decide to try to focus out the other ones, at that point, Vetro can pop out in a snapshot.
Oh my goodness!
Out of the E100. Now Ox is a one-shotter as well.
949. That's actually my area code. That's a lot of damage.
What a snapshot out of the E100.
But here's still the thing for the side of eClipse. Those are all autoloaders. Those 50Bs. That's a lot of burst.
No, absolutely. That's what I was just talking about.
Yeah, they could exactly. They could very quickly even up this game, if not turn it in their favor. But if 07 plays this smart, which it seems that they are, they should be able to maintain control. And they're also on defense. That's something to note.
Wallhack's looking for a shot onto Fosta. Fosta just up on that climb up at 8-8. One we don't see a whole lot of. However, it's a decent spot for the defense, especially late in the game like this. And Wallhack's is just sitting here waiting for him to pop up, and Fosta's not giving it to him.
You know, I got to be completely honest, for watching 07 play on a map that they haven't touched once this season, they're doing exceptionally well.
Exactly. And another thing to, you know, back to the whole 50Bs, the 350Bs, that's 4,800 alpha in their clips right now. So if they push around and they each can fire all 4 of their shots, that's a lot of damage they can put downrange very, very quickly.
That's easily enough to clean up the 113, the T57, and the 251, as well as put some damage into the E100, but it's not enough. Still, they're going to have to drop those clips eventually. It's not enough to kill the entire team of 07.
Ideally, they can group up, find a pick onto 1 or 2, and then use the 50B speed to get out of there, reposition, and get into the second clips at that point. And then once they've done that, then they'll have enough to kill them. Eclipse just taking their time. They know that the cards are stacked against them at this point, and they're just trying to find some sort of opening, some sort of pick that they can exploit. Master Pupil's the only one left with HP. Once again, Hawks, you know, he had a healthy amount of HP, but the snapshot and hide roll at the same time out of Commodore in that E100 completely secured this win, in my opinion, 407. It would take a monumental mistake at this point for them to lose this round.
I mean, right, but there still is 4 minutes for Eclipse to essentially play with.
Unless 07 makes some sort of huge mistake at this point where they get one of their tanks isolated, any engagement they go for, one of those 50Bs is going to drop instantly. Even the E100 and say the 113 shooting Master People at the same time should put him down either to one-shot, if not finish him off. And when you have a T57 sitting between them, that's a lot of alpha that 07 have left on the field as well. So I don't see this engagement going very well. And when you have Fosta up here, there's no one really able to kill him at this point. So they'd have to kill all 3 of these tanks and find a way to cap or kill Fosta, which I don't know that they have the time to do all that right now, especially with the HP they have left.
Well, there's only 3 minutes and 15 seconds left to find out, but I do agree with you that this is going to be very difficult for 07 to lose. Again, unless they make just some horrendous mistake.
And the push is going to come out of Eclipse. Remember, they are attacking right now, so they either have to kill everything or cap out. And it's 07 that have the benefit of just being able to stay passive right now. Fosta putting an HE shell into Vetro. However, he gets lit. Ox and Vetro try to find return shots. Can't get it done. Fosta poking up right now, looking for some shots again, and another shot into Ox Madness from the RU251 for 312 damage.
Now it is going to be Ox and Master People potentially trying to bait something on that 2 cap as Wally is slowly starting to head there as well. There is technically enough time if 3 tanks were on cap to cap out, but at that point, they're all in the same position. They're all very low on HP, and that would just be a mess in and of itself.
Yep, exactly. And right now, 07 are just stacking up to make the push on a cap. Vetro positioned pretty smartly to punish this angle right here. And the thing about where he's sitting right now, not only can he shoot the corridor he's looking at, he'll also have shots onto the corridor that 07 are pushing through right now. So they need to time this right. They need to make sure that Commodore eats the shots that they're able to take these guns out. And it's actually Fosta that finds Vetro.
Fosta, very nice. And 07 are going to
bounce on
cut the lead by only 1 game now.
And they will clean this up. A little bit sloppy there, but they get the job done nonetheless.
Sure. I mean, even still, 3-2 now, 07 clinching onto that game on a map. Again, this is something we need to talk about. They have not played it once this season, and just coming straight out of the gate swinging, they are going to take their first victory on it the first time they played it. And then, I mean, it is, you could argue it's defense, but even still, very impressive stuff from 07. Very impressive.
Yep, so it brings it back 3-2, and now we have to see what they can do on offense. Can they tie up this series at 3-apiece? The other thing to look at just going forward is we're going to see Muravanka up next, which if you remember, well, 07 had not been particularly great on it as a season as a whole.
eClipse has had some mighty good stumbles as well.
Fair.
Let's be honest.
A point I was going to get at is their match versus M60s. They were down 4-2 with their back up against the wall. It was not looking good for them, and they won back-to-back rounds on Muravanka that basically put them here right now. So obviously they've done their homework on the map. They have some good ideas, and we'll have to see if they can change things up again and make it work. But we still have one more battle on to Ghost Town, and once again, this is a map that 07 haven't played.
Look at Static coming in huge with that T57 heavy, 2,700 damage, and then Ox, as we are used to seeing on the top here for eClipse. But then Fosta and Ledef, again, Ledef such a good pickup for this team overall. He's been just the glue, in my opinion, for 07.
Oh, he's really brought this team together, and it was pretty much when he joined that we noticed the team starting to playing at that next level. They kind of picked up momentum, and they started to have some really good games. Even a couple of the games they lost, they still looked miles better than they did during the first round robin. And obviously they're here right now, so whatever they've been doing, whatever he's added to this team, whether it be more cohesion, just the tactical knowledge, it's really moved the team along.
There's a look at Static, #1 damage dealer for that game.
Yep, he's, like I said, Static and Zone Delta, both part of the old Elevate team that won back in, I believe it was Season 4, Season 5.
Wealth of experience.
So Season 5, yeah, they've been here before. They've gone into a finals as an underdog, and they've performed very well in the past, and right now they're keeping things composed. They're playing well, and we're going to be going into our 6th battle of this series with 07 with the chance to tie it up right now.
I'm very curious to see how exactly 07 is going to approach offense on Ghost Town, because we saw their defense and they did well.
Yep, well, they're going to approach it with an IS-4, a 113, a T-57, 2 50Bs, and 2 Tier 9 bats. eClipse, on the other hand, bringing an E100, a 215B, an IS-7, 2 50Bs, a Batchat, and an RU-251. So this game, 07 deciding to go with the 2 Tier 9s, and eClipse going with the Tier 8. Those not familiar with League, the 2 lineups that they can run, or they can run within 768 anyways, is 6 Tier 10s and a Tier 8, typically a Tier 8 light tank or artillery. And then we have the lineup that 07 are running, where it is 5 Tier 10s and 2 Tier 9s. And in this case, deciding to go with the 2 Tier 9 Batchats gives them some eyes, some flexibility, and a lot of burst they can get around. The other thing to look at is the Tier 9 Batchat. It has the same gun as the 5100, 1800 Alpha in the clip. Relatively accurate, longer clip reload than a Batchat, but still gets the job done.
Okay, so early cap pressure here coming out from 07. And it is actually going to be on the 2 cap. We normally see a lot of 1 cap plays, I would say, on offense on this map. Which is not to say that we haven't seen 2 cap pressure, but mainly it's towards, you know, the north side of the map.
And we'll look at the setup that 07 have right now. Well, they have the cap pressure in the middle, and they have the core group of their heavy tanks together. They have the Tier 9s floating on opposite flanks, just trying to hold the angles. Fosta up in the north, and then EXO on the boost down in the south. And so if anything like T1 Diabetic pushes through, they're going to have to take a lot of shots. But it's actually Brett, Master Pupil, pushing around in the south right now.
Okay, here we go. Crossfire now coming from Master Pupil onto
Commodore.
Commodore
gets completely evaporated.
Excuse me, not so much of a crossfire is coming in at a cross angle.
great early pick for Eclipse, and now they can kind of just drop off. Remember, they are defending right now, so they don't really need to make anything happen, especially when you're sitting on a nice HP lead like this. Now that said, their HP lead actually isn't that big at that point. Damage going back and forth. Fosta taking a lot. However, also some shots going off onto Brett. Ox taking 1,800.
Yeah, a lot of damage on Ox. And at this point, I'd love to take a listen in here to the team of eClipse.
It's fine, dude. I don't need
Okay,
help.
wait.
Just go
He
north.
ran.
Okay, I'm playing south.
I'm lit. They know what we're doing. There's 50 Bs. We can't push into that.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
50 Bs.
Just reset.
Yeah.
Okay.
So their bat's at 600, right? And one's at 900?
Reloading again. For full clip.
I'm gonna get
use all your
safe.
HP, Vetro.
Pupil, back up to here.
What?
Yeah.
Bring
I
the
just
50
HP
Bs
for
back
shotty.
over here. Bring
Guys,
one
what do you want this for?
50
Listen.
B back. Go the long way.
T1, you're lighting this, right? You're
Yeah.
lighting this. Okay.
I'm lighting this line.
Okay, then I'm gonna play on cap. Or I'm gonna play so I look at cap.
Okay. Their bat EP, 0.
Why did I go this way?
They can
We
just
should've
push
did it
in
right
from
away.
here.
We
They
should've
can just
did it
push
right
in there.
away.
No difference. He's out of spotting range for you, dude.
The fucking.
Vetro and Brett
Bad
should switch
idea.
spots.
I need to get out.
Like,
I need to get
yeah.
out.
Can we leave Vetro?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's only a one-shot difference.
You need to right.
Oh, I
get out.
thought the fucking 113 was
Because we're
playing
up.
high.
We're up a
No.
tank. We're up a tank.
Oh, so. Okay, my bad then. Okay.
10 bat EP.
I'll try to get a
Pushing
shot if
south.
he crosses. Yeah.
Yeah, these guys have to make sure.
I got
this
lit.
50 B,
Oh.
50 B.
50
Back
B,
up, back
50
up.
B.
50 B shot
Back up
once.
to
50 B shot once.
Remember, you go
They're
leave
just
that
trying to-
because we have this.
Yeah. I'm leaving now.
Well, then I need to watch the other way then.
No, you don't. You'll be fine.
Yeah, dude. I need to watch the opening.
Yeah.
You can watch that when he's crossing,
I'm up
right?
high. I'm watching this.
Yes,
Ox,
I'm
okay?
watching. I'm watching.
Okay.
I'm watching
550.
here.
550.
Yeah, 550.
He crossed?
No, I'm watching it.
No. Did the guy cross on J line?
No, he did not.
I'm watching
He stopped. Exo stopped.
Okay.
Building a full clip again.
I have 10 seconds.
520.
Yeah, 520.
How?
So, James, talk to me a little bit about the communication, because we kind of just had like a mini discussion. A lot of people would argue that maybe that's a lot of disagreement, but I mean, from what I've heard in the past and what you know, it's not so much the case as far as the style that Eclipse is going for here.
When it's slowed down like this right now, they're just trying to think through of every single possibility and make sure that all their angles are covered. And so they're kind of, there's a lot of speculating over they could do this or this, in this case, we need to be looking for this. And so it's pretty much all hypotheticals, and they're making sure no one wants to be the one caught out. And so that they're kind of, you know, it sounds like they're arguing to an extent, but really
and that's what I'm alluding to. For someone new, it would seem like they're arguing, but that's actually not the case.
The way to think about it is every player on that team wanting to make sure that they're in the best situation for their team as a whole.
Right.
So they're kind of sitting there having those discussions. And when it's slow like this, it's not really a problem. It's fine to have those conversations and just, you know, take the time that you have. You're on defense, you're burning down the clock, and the other team hasn't made any pushes. So you can take the time to make sure that those angles are covered and you know what's going on and what everyone's thinking.
Speaking of time, there's only about 4 minutes left here now on the clock for 07 to make a move.
Wallhack's up on the climb at A3, so he should be able to get resets for free, and Foss actually gets lit as he pushes onto cap. So I don't really see this north cap being an option for 07. The only saving grace is that rubble and the stuff on cap there, the scaffolding and the boxes and whatnot. Those will stop most of the shells that Wallhack fires at it just for the first couple times. Once he destroys those, then Foss will be a bit more vulnerable. Despite being a tank down, it's actually 07. They're up on HP right now. They have almost 1,000 HP lead, and actually 2 on Diabetic has moved up here in the north as well into the A1 climb. And so they're sitting here lined up for resets onto cap. make sure that they can also punish any sort of push that comes out onto him.
Oh, lots of damage coming onto Letif. He's got to be careful as he's backing up. One more shot is going to put him at a one-shot now. And that is unfavorable for 07 there.
Well, T1 Diabetic.
That's a 50B, by the way. That's not a tier 8 light or even a tier 9. That's a 50B. Warband also now taking punishment. And
So much
Makos,
damage
though,
on
coming
07.
over. Very nice. As Drock is caught out, he is going to back up down that hill or defilade. Oh, and Vetro is going to find Warband. Drock finding Static. Shots coming on a Drock now. They're trying to trade him out. Here comes Exo. Is he going to get the kill? No, he's just going to drive to the side, not trying to contest that incredible front armor of the IS-7. That was a really good play, but he lost so much HP in the process. The IS-7 is so difficult to penetrate with that frontal armor, so he went immediately to the side. It didn't even burn a shell, but he took damage, a lot of it, in the process there.
He was going to take damage either way. It was smart to just make sure that he got the shots off as effectively as he could, as early as he could, and he, you know, understood. All right, even if I hit the lower plate with the angle this IS-7 sitting at, it's most likely just going to bounce. So he held the shot, got around the side, and made sure that the 2 shots he put into him counted.
Yeah, that IS-7, that tank hold down is almost impossible to pen, but even just in that angle, he wasn't necessarily even hold down, but it's still tough to penetrate that tank.
The IS-7 was pointed downwards on the slope a little bit, and what that does is it actually changes the angles and the values of the armor on the front of the tank to where that lower plate's actually thicker than it would be normally if it was on a flat ground, and so it didn't really leave a whole lot of options for him.
And it does indeed look like, oh, Veteran's nice shot. Does indeed look like 07 will be falling, and it's going to be 4-2 now for eClipse. But I gotta say, 07, they impressed me on this map because we'd never seen them. I didn't know what to expect. I thought maybe we'd see a blowout, but they definitely put up a fight. In fact, they took defense.
Yeah, well, they bled a lot of HP on this second round here. They tried to make a play there at the end, and well, what we were talking about earlier with the eClipse comms and all their communication they had going back and forth, deciding who to watch where. They were clearly set up for any sort of push that 07 made. They had already talked through most of the hypotheticals, and as soon as 07 made that push, Letif got focused out by T1 up on the hill.
Yeah.
The 50Bs sitting next to the north cap were ready for the tanks from 07 to push around there, and they were just, they bled so much HP from 07 when they started that push that there was just no way in it for 07 at that point.
Well, moving into the next map now, it is going to be
Muravanka. Which, what we were talking about earlier is Muravanka's a map.
Look at Ox and the E100 3,100 damage. Ridiculous.
Well, and then the tier 9 batch out of Fosta is not 3K, not bad there. And Makos in the 50B 2,400 kind of drops off after there. Letif only able to get out 1,900 after 10 shots, so not able to make all his shots count out of his clips. And then Drock in the IS-7, 1,800 over 7 shots fired. I-7 not the most accurate of tanks. But my point getting though earlier was Muravanka, well, it's not been a map on the season that 07 has been particularly strong on. Recently, more often than not, they've had some pretty good games on it, especially, like I said, I've already talked about it, the game versus M60s. They were 4-2 down, and they managed to win. And there's Ox Mathis, top damage dealer from last game. You know, able to do work. You can tell he has his game face on, just focused, waiting for the next game to start.
Just a scary face.
Not talking.
I wouldn't want to have to confront him, if you will.
You don't have a game face?
He's ready. No, that's a game face. He's absolutely focused, and it shows because not only is he consistent now in the finals, this is not something new for him as a player. He's always been the consistent top damage dealing member of whatever team that he's playing for.
Yep, absolutely. And here's the team of 07, Warbender in the front right there, Cam in the middle, Fosta in the bottom. And we're going to be going on to Muravanka.
Yep, let's go ahead and head right into the next map between eClipse and 07.
Muravanka, a map with a great number of buildings, bushes and trees, amongst which teams hide for most of the battle. The attacking team begins the battle from the top of the village, and the defenders start from the bottom of the map. Both bases are better controlled from the hill near the first base, and from the green in the lower left corner of the map. There are many attack directions. The attacking team often attempts to gain the attention of defenders by putting pressure on the first base, whilst manoeuvring several tanks behind the second base to deliver fire into the defending's flank. Team setups are very diverse, but the players often choose the fastest tanks, even for heavy setups. They could even bring SPGs.
Map number 4, and 07 is going to bring 2 T57 heavies, an IS-7, 2 Bat Chats, and then 2 Tier 9 Bat Chats. Meanwhile, on the side of eClipse, I think this is the first time we've seen 2 E5s in the same lineup. We've seen E5s throughout this entire season, but 2 of them, I think this is a first. And then they also have 4 Bat Chats and then a Crusader SP.
Yep, going with a little Tier 7 artillery. Just going to sit there and harass either cap. It's proven pretty valuable for resets on this map just because of where they're set up. You can sit there and blind fire the low spots on the 2 cap over there, makes doing the resets a lot easier. But also the spot at the right side of the 1 cap down there at the bottom corner of F2, where we so often see tanks. With Drock over here, he has reset angles on most of it. However, an IS-7 can sit there at just the right angle to where that guy cannot get the shots. And so when you have this little Crusader SP, he has the arc to shoot up and over that berm and land those resets.
And we've seen, I mean, to be fair as well, eClipse is, I think, the team that favors the Crusader SP the most. In fact, this is almost a similar lineup aside from the 2 E5s that we saw them bring against High when they lost 6v7, though. So that's something to take note of as well.
Yep, and already Commodore taking 46 damage from that Crusader SP. I've said it a lot about this little Crusader SP.
Death by paper cuts.
Death by paper cuts, exactly. Beat me to it.
Which is a terrible way to go. I mean,
would not be fun. And just look at all the shots going there. Commodore trying to stay safe, and both the T57s for 07 moving up. Getting aggressive on this berm right now. And look at the positioning out of eClipse. They have a Batchat and Vetro passive at H5, but then they have 2 and Diabetic also passive down there at J4, and so they'll have good shots up the 4 line if 07 try to make their push aggressively through there. Master Pupil just poking around here, trying to proc light the guys when he can. Make sure that they spot a push coming out before it's too late.
Oh, that's a real shot coming out from Drock now. As Ledif also finds himself taking some damage.
A lot of shots going on to these heavies.
Yeah, Master Pupil now trying to come around that corner with that E5. That tank is just so good at everything. It literally is like the jack of all trades tank. But wait a second, coming in and getting focused, Master Pupil is going to fall.
Great little bait and switch there out of 07. And Vetro is also getting focused out. Warbander should find the shots.
Yeah, you know what? Let's take this opportunity to get a listen in with 07 as the action unfolds.
We got these bets. Just focus on bets.
Fuck. Sorry, Fosta.
It's fine.
Vetro's a 1.
Watch out for
Already
Ox
fired?
in the back.
What? Missed.
Stay low, Cam. Stay low.
Yep.
Watch out, Fossa. Watch out, Fossa.
Worry bats if we can. Worry bats if we can. Just
only
leave that
shoot the
E5
bats.
out there.
Only
Don't
shoot
even
the
worry about that
bats.
E5. That guy is so damn slow.
Alright, I'm pushing in.
Exo needs help. Exo needs help.
Yeah.
Warbender, can you help Exo?
I'm gonna die.
Clip in 24. I can
Makos is pushing around on them.
Yeah. We have these
I'm going straight in.
tanks.
34.
Yeah, I'm clipping. I'm reloading.
F17.
They're just all lit. They're all
Makos, be
lit.
aggressive. Makos, be aggressive. Fossa.
Yeah, we gotta go.
I'm reloading.
Go, they're going on Cam. They're going
Come
on Cam.
Get Vetro.
Let's go in. Go in.
10
I'm
seconds.
gonna get Vetro. I'm gonna die here.
Shit, sorry.
Go. Don't.
Anyone with shells, just go fight them. They just shot a bunch. It has to be
Exo's a
Fossa.
I dropped.
I got 20 seconds.
I need to leave.
Birds out.
Ignore the E5. We have to kill the bats and fight the E5.
I still got 10 seconds.
He's pushing me. He's pushing me.
I mean, Fossa has to kill 2 bats.
Exo, what's your clip?
20.
Jesus, sorry.
I like threw my tank for free there.
We had to fight with Cam.
Makos is dead.
How do you feel about that, James? You didn't look too happy.
That was 07's to lose, and they lost it. I mean, that's the easy way to put it. Great play to Commodore to just push straight down that 3-line, pincer him out. However, the problem was the T57 of Makos held up on the 4-line while the Batchats were reloading. Even if just Makos had pushed in, they could have really done a lot of damage to those Batchats sitting on the south end there. Drock wasn't even a factor at that point. It could have just been a completely different battle. The Batchats could have been down, the Crusader could have been mounted. It could have been all of them just left versus Drock. But instead, they gave the easy overmatch on to Commodore. They got it spotted out too early. And the disjointed push out of 07. They had the Batchats that were all calling that they were reloading. Only the T57 had shots. But I'm pretty sure at this point that T57, if he had been in there, could could have kept Commodore alive. They could have focused out those bat chats sooner, and they could have just completely turned the tide of that game.
So then you could argue that it was not only 07 making mistakes, but also Eclipse doing a great job of punishing.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
So it was a great. Don't get me wrong, it was a great play by Eclipse. They recognized the overmatch onto Commodore. They understood that their guns were too far away, and they jumped on it.
Again, we are going to a player perspective now. I really like watching replays, by the way, in this perspective, because I've learned a lot doing so.
Yeah, definitely, and you can do that by going to whatreplays.com, download all the players' POVs, and see exactly what you're watching now. So you can see what happened during these games, not just in North America, but any of the regions. So.
Yeah, and that's also huge, watching other players in other regions and how well or how different they play from our very own.
The Crusader actually firing a shot onto Exo here.
Oh, Exo's
he
hunting.
doesn't even get the kill.
Oh, no. So it is going to be Eclipse, arguably when 07 was in the driver's seat there, James.
Yeah, definitely. 07, like I said, they had good positioning. I liked what they could have done, but it was just a miscoordination there between the bat chats, the T-57, and Commodore. Once they gave up Commodore for free, that was their full health IS-7. The second he went down, that game was pretty much over for him. They had just pushed around a little bit sooner, kept that T-57 with the full clip going around, not waited for the bat chats. They could have really done a lot of damage.
Look how unimpressed Master Pupil is.
Well, once again, just look at the whole row right there. All of them have their game faces on. They're just focused. To a certain extent, it's like they don't even notice they're up here on a stage. And look at this game. This didn't surprise me. I was going to call this during the game. Drock, 4,200 damage, 19 shots fired. Provided a good portion of those are going to be blind fire, but the angle he was at, the pushes that kept coming out of those T-57s and the I-7, he was just sitting there in an angle where he had side shots the whole day, and 07 just ignored him. And to a certain extent, that was the right decision. Just ignore him, let him put up damage. If that game had played out like it should have, then it would have been 07 that killed all the other bat shots from Eclipse, and it would have just been Drock over there on the one line left alive. And so sure, he can do a lot of damage, but when there's 6 guns left coming for you, and the rest of your teammates are dead, it doesn't really matter how much damage you put up. The Master Pupil in that E5, I really like what 07 did there. They pushed.
There's Drock, by the way.
Yep, it was 07 that pushed around with those 57s and the IS-7 when Master Pupil kind of backed off, and then they immediately, after they took some damage from the bat chats in the E5, they backed off back onto the cap. And Master Pupil immediately tried to chase, try to get another shot off because he figured they wouldn't push again. And the second they realized that Master Pupil had committed forward, they rolled forward.
Annihilated him.
Yep. Well, you think you have to remember, 2 T-57s. That's 1,600 alpha in a clip per.
So
and when you have
damage.
2 of them there, 2 T-57s can clip out anything. Anything in the game. If you pen all your shots, unless you have some insane low rolls, that's a mouse dead. Which the mouse has the most HP of anything in the game right now.
So here we go. It is now the turn of Eclipse to be on offense.
So I know that Eclipse have really been digging the 50Bs today, but this is getting ridiculous.
Are they in fact bringing the same setup?
No, they just decided, all right.
They just brought an extra one.
4 50Bs works. Let's try 5.
5 50Bs and 2 Bat Chat Tier 9s. Meanwhile, we're going to see an 2 IS-4s, a T-57, and then 3 Bat Chats and a 1390.
Yep, it is 5-2 in favor of Eclipse.
This is so odd though, because they usually have a more even lineup, but just 5 50Bs. Screw it, why not?
Yep, and the other thing to look at here, just as a reminder, it is a best of 13. So instead of being a best of 5 like it normally, or first to 5 like it normally is, it's going to be a first to 7. So 2 more wins for Eclipse will secure them a spot in the final.
All right, and you know, let's actually just get a listen in very early here with Eclipse, just to see exactly what they're planning.
Kill whatever. Yeah. It's fine.
I got lit. I'm lit.
I got lit. We're all lit.
I'm gonna act like I'm driving through the cap.
I didn't get lit. We need somebody on. Get the other one buddy on. Here.
You want me?
Okay.
Everybody else get ready.
We got 3 on. Yo, got lit.
We don't have.
Do it together. Do it together.
Go.
Yeah, we do.
No, we don't.
I was on.
Now we do.
Warband shot once.
Back up.
We don't have shots. 57 is in the forest. He's
They're
in the forest.
1390 in forest.
Fine.
They're in the forest. Block the cap.
Block it.
We need 3 on.
I can get on. T1 just block.
They're just gonna move up. Now.
Somebody needs to block the IS-4.
Yo, push over to the IS-4 now. Go, 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 go. Together, 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 together.
Up there.
Everybody, come on, let's go. Everybody together.
Let's go, 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 go.
Oh my God, we're not moving.
Retract. We're going. Just go.
Warband.
Flipping.
Got one.
I have two. Behind us.
Kill me, kill me.
Exo.
Everybody's Exo's poking up behind.
Exo's cracked.
I'm reloading.
Warbander.
Exo.
I'm loading 22.
Exo's clipping, guys. We got 14.
Back up.
1390 behind you.
1390
behind you. Static.
I'm going in for static.
Yeah. Me too.
I'm reloading.
One kill for Vetro. Not Vetro, Exo.
That was similar to like fish in a barrel.
Pretty much, and it was by design too, is the scary part. Now, we talked earlier about, you know, maybe occasionally throwing in those offhand strats to try to cap the opponent out. And that's pretty much what they were doing. Let's just shove as many tanks onto cap as we can. And then at that point, try to force the cap pressure to make them panic and send guns in where they can just use those 50Bs and the batch shots to just explode onto you.
I believe it was Wally, though. He was calling for them to push on the IS-4 there of Mako's earlier, and no one was moving.
Yeah, I was kind of confused what went on there. I think he was more talking about trying to find the shots on him, and they were all looking in so many different directions. They couldn't really punish him, and he was side-scraping along the building there. So it did sound like he said push, but no one moved, so I'm not entirely sure.
And then you heard him say,
said.
"Oh my God, no one's moving." So I mean, my guess is as good as yours. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, there was a lot of comms going on there, a lot of people talking, so not entirely sure if that's how it played out. It is 5-3 though, in favor of eClipse still. But 07 showing some signs of life still. They're not out of this yet, putting up a fight. And like I said, during the online playoffs, this was a map that 07 played very well on.
Yeah, they got their spot here.
Yep. Now they were a little bit fortunate that Static and Foster were able to get around on the outside there. However, when you have a 1390 that does more damage than a couple of your tier 10s, that's also kind of scary. We'll get to that in a second. Static coming in there huge, 2600. Commodore at 2500, almost 2600. Then Leda, Fosta, and Exo all doing well. Ox top on his team per normal, and Vetro also on the top page, but not really able to get in there, especially when Vetro only gets through one clip and 1600 damage. Not really able to be effective in the long run. But then when we move on to the second page, looking at it, Fosta coming up here, that 1390 at 2200 damage.
For me, it's just that communication of eClipse. I mean, we talked about earlier where it may seem like arguing, but it's not. But that was just a clear breakdown of communication as far as Wally wanted something to happen, and then for whatever reason, it didn't happen.
Yeah, well, and once again, I was a little bit even confused up here about exactly what they were going for. It sounded like he wanted to push over onto the S4. The problem is, to get to that S4, they had to push across an opening and then into the buildings, and it was going to be through a crossfire of a lot of the guns from 07. So I to a certain extent, I wonder if it was just the players going, that's not a good idea, that'll never work, and all just ignoring it on their own.
Which is very possible.
Which is possible. I'm not a huge fan of it when stuff happens. When you have... And once again, this totally comes back to just calling styles within a team. We talk about some teams where they have, you know, one main caller that's just final say on everything. We do what I say. I know 7 are a team like that to a certain extent. You know, Foster makes a lot of the overall decisions. Now, players like Static and a few others definitely have a lot more input than normal. But looking over at eClipse, it just didn't really pan out for them.
Yeah, well, that is going to lead us into the next map here between these two teams, eClipse and 07.
Prokhorovka, one of the first maps in the game. Teams start at the regular spawn points as they do in standard battles. Bases are separated from each other by the railway, so the defending team has to choose whether to send their vehicles to the left side, playing them in the center, or to the right of the railway, occupying the hill and a part of the village. The attacking team usually attacks the first base. However, the teams often go for face-to-face confrontations, 7-on-7, in the hilly terrain at the center. That's why both teams frequently use vehicles with good gun depression angles and sturdy turrets.
So is this going to be the final map, potentially? Do you think eClipse will hit them with 2 straight games here?
This has been a map that eClipse have been very strong on in both seasons of their Gold League. And looking at it, choosing 3 113s, 3 bad chats, and an RU.
So they are ditching the 50Bs, finally.
Yeah, and then looking over at 07, the E5, the IS-7, the 3 bat chats, the Object 140, and the 1390.
So nothing too crazy as far as tank selection. I mean, this is pretty normal standard for this map specifically as well. A lot of teams, though, I mean, we do see 07 do favor those heavier tanks. Proc, as you talked about very early on when I came on at cast, you explained the fingers of the map to me.
Yep. Now I said that I wasn't going to say cheeky again, but look at this spot right now.
I think you've done very well.
Look at this spot. Just this random bush on this random climb sitting down here at Kilo 7. Once again, this is another one of those things. I didn't even know this existed. It has a bush, so he's going to be camoed up. It's going to be very hard to spot. He has a direct line of sight onto the hill there, so he'll spot things pushing over. And he also has a great line of fire towards the bat chat of his teammate that's pushing up along the 0 line there. So very clever spot.
James, if it makes you feel any better, I also had no idea it existed.
Yep. I get that to a certain extent. Now, T1 Diabetic's actually going to leave and head over to the bat chats, and it's actually the 113s and Vetro still sitting on the 1 line. And it's Ox Mathis in the middle there that is just trying to spot out the tanks from 07. 07's defense is very, very compact. They have the 2 eyes, well, the I7 and the E5 over at B5, but then they've moved, it looks like, EXO all the way up into A0, where he is going to be extremely hard to get to. And it's just Fosta sitting here in this bush between these buildings that is their only real forward eyes.
This is a map that we've seen a lot of, again, dynamic play on. We've seen aggression coming out very early, and we've also seen teams try to play it a little slower, but Wally is making a move, and oh my goodness!
Good night. Down he goes.
Making moves in all the wrong places. Down he goes almost instantly.
However, Fosta did get spotted during that.
Okay, and here's the push.
Damage.
Here is the push now from eClipse. Coming down that 1 line, they do have the cover of that hill or that little defilade there, so they are going to be able to make it pretty far. And if you look, it's only really Commodore and Warbander at this point that would have any shots. Now Makos is moving across that A line. And you know what? Let's get a listen in with 07 and see exactly how they deal with this.
Makos is clipped. All right. EXO, what's your clip?
I'm going to clip.
I just started
now.
Yeah,
they don't have great easy cap pressure, so yeah.
No, they have to put a tier 10 on cap.
All right, I'm gonna go up. I'm gonna go up to the hill. I'm gonna go up to the hill.
Wait, I can't support you fast. I'm clipping.
All right.
I have 4 loaded.
Static, you basically just stay down.
We don't want to lose you too for free.
Yeah, just fast. Can you wait like 15?
They're gonna YOLO the heavies.
Hey,
and also we are not held down. They can just
can either come here.
Here, yeah, let it. I'll take your spot.
A line doesn't.
I'm gonna reload. I'm gonna reload right now. I'm loading more heat.
Load.
Feels bad, but I'm loading.
Go to on top of the tracks and I'll take your spot.
Yep. I'm gonna take the hill ledge.
If their light isn't alive, there's no way they're gonna YOLO the east. They don't have any sufficient lights.
Yeah, it's going.
They would literally have to light with the bat shot and it'll die. So it's gonna be west.
The only question is if they leave bats in here. Like if they leave that.
They can leave 1 or 2 here.
Yeah, but what are they gonna do?
Here.
No, they're gonna shoot our tanks that are in here.
I didn't get spotted. So.
Well, if he checks it, then
they're probably pushing west then.
Yeah, it has to be west.
They could be double bush there, so watch out.
By the way, yeah, there's spots.
Yeah, they could literally just sit there.
He can just drop down in the thing.
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
That's definitely a west play.
I got Brett
one bat.
Yeah.
Foster, do you want me to come to you? Just I guess probably not.
No.
Brett's leaving.
Yeah, I'm forcing them to the 1-2 basically. Yeah.
The bat A8 doesn't need to be there, I don't think.
A8?
No, you're maybe not needed there. You're not doing anything. You should be here with me. You should be here with me, ready to shoot anything that pushes our heavies.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Yes, Static.
That's you.
The thing is, I don't think.
Can you destroy houses in here, Static? Can you destroy homes?
Yeah.
Like top left square of that one. Top left of that square. What's up? We're back.
I don't think that the bats should be heaviest if the heavy is gonna be here. I think the bats have to keep their clips for their bats. Yes.
Yeah.
We can hope kill at least one heavy and still kill
Let
the
I think we poke
Yeah.
backwards.
You guys want to start moving up?
Alright.
You guys can get caught there if they YOLO you.
In
Yeah,
between shots, you just dip down.
Start moving
want
up,
the-
guys. Start
You
moving
want
up into here.
AS7 to move up?
I think just Warband
Yeah.
should move up.
Yeah,
Or
just-
both.
just-
No, both. Yeah, both is fine. But
Yeah,
don't feed here.
Are you
Don't
sure
feed here.
both? Both
Yeah,
move?
yeah.
Just
simply,
don't
simply
feed.
don't
Don't
feed
want
too.
Amador to get
Feed too much.
focused. Yep.
I was spotted static.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yo, bat on cap, bat on cap behind.
It's a bad
cap. Nope, I got
Well,
this, I
that's
gotta
just the
get down.
problem. You have to do something to.
They have to.
this.
They have to let them commit a tank on to cap. I mean, it's fine.
He spotted me.
They're holding 2-line vision. They're gonna shoot Exo, Makos, and I if we do that. Makos, did you get lit or no?
No, I didn't.
I didn't get lit.
He went back.
I
wasn't lit.
I got lit.
Foster, if I come to you with
Didn't know
that
where
hill,
I'm
man, I
at.
think
No, we don't know. We don't know where the other two bats are. I mean, they could still be like down here.
Yeah.
They've got 4 minutes, just so you
I'm
know.
either
Yep.
We're all
perma
full
spotted
health.
or I'm not
Have
spotted.
anyone
at
even
all.
lost health other than
Oh.
They don't have a lot of
Foster
time.
lost
It's-
one shot.
Yeah, it's basically Static just has to come in here basically to support.
And the one thing I want to point out there, the difference between 07 and Eclipse, just as far as their comms go, are if you notice, Fosto was really kind of controlling the comms back and forth.
Right.
Someone would say something, like Fosto would speak up for a second, and then you'd say, all right, Warband, or what's up, or go this, go back
Yeah,
and forth.
the line of communication seems a lot more organized.
Yeah, no, there's a lot going on, don't get me wrong. It's still cluttered. But there's someone in there actively trying to control it, making
And
sure that all
process
the info.
everything, yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Absolutely. Really, really great stuff to Fosta and 07 there. Their
the
comms
push-
have always been really solid.
They're all grouping up right now, and they're going to make some sort of a play here in a second.
Snap.
All 6 of their guns left alive are all right here at F6. Let's see what they
there's
do.
less than 3 minutes left now as we are going to see a brawl start to
And good night,
develop
Static.
here.
He's done.
Oh, jeez.
Got caught out at the wrong time, wrong place. And that is a gun in favor of Eclipse.
Oh, he's still alive. Somehow, finally, down he goes. Master People fighting him in the 113 to the 140 there of Static. And Ox has taken damage as well as Drock. Still healthy tanks up for 07. And still punishment being put onto Eclipse here as Master People takes damage. Ox is trying to hide.
Now, arguably right now, for this hold-down position and working the terrain, the IS-7 and the E5 are the better choices for that than the 113s.
I absolutely agree. IS-7 and E5 are perfect. Again, those tanks are just... The IS-7 in particular, the frontal armor is nuts.
Yep. And the Batchats are pushing in right now, and they're just going to explode onto these heavy tanks.
And Drock should be going down here in just a moment. Master People hasn't taken damage yet, but he will. Ox is going to be found and cleaned up. Here we go, 07!
Master
In a
Pupil
very
being
good
focused out.
position.
And this is 07 firmly in the driving seat right now. They are up 5 guns to 3. Brett being focused out next. He's actually trying to drive away right now. Still gets shot, though. Camador looking for the kill shot. Too many buildings in the way so far. Vetro choosing just to run at this point, even though he has a full clip. The bounce off the back of that bat chat.
The bounce shot. That's what it's officially called now.
Can't disagree.
So, okay, as we let this game unfold, and 07 is inevitably, wow, I can't even speak, inevitably going to clean up the team of Eclipse. This is what scares me the most for Eclipse. Not that they haven't been in this position, but 07 is starting to get that momentum, and they are starting to close that gap. To bring it right now, it's about to be 5-4.
Yep, definitely. And like I said, it's 1st to 7.
And it's
for
1st to
the
7.
13 series.
But here's the thing: is Eclipse now going to buckle because of the momentum that 07 has? And that's what I was alluding to earlier. The start of the broadcast, top of the show, was which team for 07 is going to show up, and eventually, if it's the right team of 07, will they be able to essentially just get in the heads of Eclipse? And that's what it looks like is happening here.
Yeah, definitely. They're starting to chip away at them. And, you know, well, for a second there, it looked like Eclipse were going to start to run away with it. I think they were up 4-2 at one point.
It was up 4-2, yeah, and then 5-2 actually, or no, 5-3, I think.
Yeah, 5-3, and
now
now
it's
they're
5-4.
5-4. They're climbing back into it slowly. They're not giving up. They're making a lot of great plays. Looks like either a timeout call right there. I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah, it is a timeout call.
Okay. So Warbander, just an absolute monster for his team in that game. We'll get to that in a second. But the bigger picture that we haven't really talked about yet. I kind of want to, well, let's get over the damage, and then we're going to talk about a few things.
Yeah, Warband, like you said,
XL,
almost 4K damage.
over 9 shots. So, like I said, the IS-7 and E5, great tanks for working terrain like that, working the railroad. The 113 has terrible gun depression. I believe it's -5 or -6 degrees of gun depression, while the E5 sits at, I believe, -8. I have to double check on that one. But either way, those two tanks are a lot better at working ridge lines and stuff like that. The only drawback for the E5 is it has that cupola there, which can be penned, and the 113s don't really have to deal with that. And they have the better DPM, but I think overall, and looking at that IS-7, just able to do so much work along that ridge line. And then wall hacks, poor little RU-251 trying to make that aggressive push.
He got eliminated so early in that round.
All the batch heads were just sitting there waiting for him. And even Static, who got focused out early, firing off 18 shots, so doing a lot of blind fire towards that hill early on.
There he is, Warbander.
Yep, just one of the main heavy tank players for 07, just been a constant for him this season.
He's been really good, honestly. Warbander's been great all season, and this is really what I like to see from 07. I do really enjoy watching this team, and when they come together and the communication is as crispy as it was right there, it shows that they can easily compete with any team that's currently here today, whether it's eClipse, which they're going against right now, or Apex or Deja Vu, whoever's going to win the next semifinals. I mean, 07 can absolutely win this event. It would not surprise me, but they still have quite a mountain ahead of them as they're down a game now, 5-4 to eClipse.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing I wanted to talk about before we got into this is there's a couple things to remember here right now. The winner of both the semifinals, so the winner of this match and the winner of Apex Deja Vu,
yeah,
they automatically guarantee themselves a spot
in the Challengers Rumble.
To the Challengers Rumble in 3 weeks. So that itself, not only that, but also the chance to keep playing for that first place prize, the $90,000 just for first place. So they need to keep it together. Both these teams need to kind of just calm down for a second. Looks like we have that, like I said, we have that timeout call coming in right now. So taking the extra second to talk about strats, get things organized. We still have one more round of Proc. So just, both of them keeping it calm. eClipse are in the lead, so they have that. However, 07 are still battling.
They're slowly creeping up.
Yeah, and that was a great little defense they ran. However, they have to attack on Proc, which, looking at it, attacking on Proc is not something that they've been very successful at this season. 1-5 on the season as a whole. So they definitely have their work cut out for them. Meanwhile, eClipse's defense is 7-1 on the season.
This was such a good just focus fire onto Wally. They didn't let him get any position, and they eliminated him overall. And then just the push over the pour onto the team of eClipse was so well. This was just beautifully executed all the way around from start to finish. 07 played fantastic.
Well, and I love the focus fire out of 07. If you notice, when they made that push over, they took down 3 guns within the period of about 10-15 seconds between the bad shots and the heavy tanks. So just great focus fire, great calling out the primary targets, getting the first one down, then the second one, and then turned around and got Master People out. So just overall, it's just doing the basics, doing the things that you have to do. Any of these teams have to be able to do that sort of thing well. They need to be able, that when they make those pushes, that they all call out the same target or same couple of targets, depending on their style, and that they just take guns down quickly. If you can't do that, you're just going to bleed a lot of HP, and the longer you leave guns alive, the longer they're still in the field pumping out damage.
Yep, well, it is now going to be eClipse on defense and 07 on offense. And we've seen, eClipse on defense be very suffocating to try to play against. I want to see how 07 is going to deal with that.
I'm going to be entirely honest. I am not sure that we have seen an E50M this season.
I don't think. I was just about to ask you.
I know we've seen them in seasons past.
This season, I don't believe, because I would have asked you about that tank, which I'm literally about to do right now. Why bring an E50M?
It's a bit slower, looks like. No, we're still going. Sorry, just looking down there. T1. Oh, it is a disconnect. All right, I was a little bit confused there for a second. But the E50M, German, medium, has the same gun off the Leopard, but this one's a bit slower, has the great front to it. Armor's pretty bouncy in the lower half. The turret armor is flat, and so it can typically pretty easily be penned by heat shells and some other stuff.
Sure.
But the gun itself is pretty accurate. It does have, that and the Leopard both have insanely low DPM for mediums. That's why we don't see them used a whole lot. But when you can use them in a passive position where they can kind of shoot from distance between being accurate, and they also have 390 alpha as opposed to like 320 or 300.
Okay, so it's a little higher.
So they definitely hit a little bit harder than some of the other guns. So it'll be just a second till they get things sorted out.
So again, why in general would you bring that specific tank?
The only thing I can think of on Proc is that they just want to play a more passive defense. They want to have a gun that can sit there and shoot from pretty far away. Now, why not bring a 140? It has a little bit faster fire rate.
That's what I was going to ask, yeah.
Still almost as accurate. The accuracy only means so much. It's useful, but in these sort of situations, more often than not, because if you look at it with the low DPM and the higher alpha, that means it has a much longer reload between shots, essentially. So every time you fire, if you miss a shot, the gap between shots on target goes from being 7 seconds or 6 seconds to 14 seconds or whatever. And when you have, say, a Object 140, you have a 5-second reload, so 5.5 seconds. So you fire a shot, then you're on to your next, and even if you miss it, then all of a sudden it's a 10-second gap. So you still get more shots off and more damage down range. So you kind of have to balance it out there. It's not something that we've seen a whole lot of. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
So that being said, generally, the defense here from eClipse, what do you expect from them this game, especially in the situation they're in? Well, like I said earlier, 07 kind of is starting to gain that momentum.
I think they're, judging by their tank lineup, I think they're going to go for a very aggressive defense, take one side of the map early on, and
try to suffocate.
Just try to split the map in half and not leave 07 anywhere to go. That's something they've done very well all season. They pin the team into one side of the map, and then they find a way to get the resets relatively easily. Once you can guarantee yourself resets and you have control of that 6 line from either side, really, it's very hard as a team, the team that was trying to attack, to get back into that series. Because at that point, there's 3 crossings over that 6th line. And if you have eyes on all of them, you can pretty much know where all of the guns are on the other team at all times. And you have the freedom to just kind of flex around in the backfield and keep them guessing. And you really can work them down over time.
All right, well, we are going to be getting right back into game here. We just have to restart a PC real quick. NBD. Something really interesting to me overall as well with eClipse is the fact that there's no Tigers. I'm so used to seeing Tigers.
Yeah, well, they decided to make a change overall. When you have players like Mathis having to sit on the bench occasionally, you kind of want to find ways to put them in.
Right, just to keep them in.
No one else in the starting lineup really deserved to be dropped, right. And so
that's not a knock on Wally, by the way. Real quick to interrupt, because as you know, I was called the fool for putting a Tier 8 light player on my fantasy team. I love Wally, but overall, it's just I'm so used to seeing Tigers with this team.
Yeah, well, what I'm getting at here is Tigers is a caller, but he also likes to play his Tier 10s, and when you have Wally already playing the Tier 8, also being a caller, it doesn't necessarily make sense when you have someone like Mathis or Vetro having to sit on the bench.
Correct.
And Wallhack's just going to make a very aggressive opening scout run across the top there. Doesn't light the whole team, actually. Only lights the RU and the IS-7. The E50M.
There's that 50M we were talking about.
Front armor on the D50M is pretty good, like I said. But the thing is that tank doesn't really hold down that well. The turret armor on the front is flat. And
we see him take a shot literally at that point at the turret armor in the front.
Yep, and it's not angled, so any sort of heat shell or even just some APCR shells put in the right spot tend to penetrate it. So it's great in city maps when it can kind of side scrape. It's decent. Kind of what we call a pocket heavy tank. It lost identity, as it were. It's not really fast enough to be used as a medium a lot of the time because it can't really flex around. You might as well bring a 140 or a Batchat. But it doesn't have enough armor or have a big enough gun to really do the role of a heavy tank. So it's something that we don't really see a whole lot. Very similar to the Action X, which we've seen the Action X a few times this season, but it's the same sort of thing. It's a slower medium tank with a little bit harder hitting gun than normal, but not hard enough to really justify bringing it in place of a heavy tank. These 113s on the other team have guns that do 440 alpha a pop, while the IS-7 over there, 490 alpha. The E50M only does 390. Nexo is actually going to back away. Another thing is the E50M being as heavy as it is and as large as it is, it's not really a tank that you could imagine you'd see doing a lot of boosting or climbing around, but it's Exo driving it. So it kind of makes you wonder if we're going to see something crazy.
That's true. Exo and Vetro have kind of had this little...
What is Fosta doing right now? Just push straight down the 2 line.
Oh my goodness, what? He's a madman!
Vetro goes down, he lights the 2 bad jets, and they're just being focused out right now.
And Fosta now straight dead in front of these tanks without almost any shells left in their clip. And Fosta's gonna go for the ram!
Well, he's just trying to make
sure and Lenev gets him, are you kidding me?
He just blocks him in. Now, 07 are down by a lot on HP, but they have the gun advantage. As Fosta goes down, they still have an extra gun alive right now.
And Wally is gonna find Fosta, but the guts on that play.
Commodor's being focused out right now. Both the 113s have pushed over onto him.
You know what? Let's take this opportunity to get a listen in here with eClipse.
The high alpha shot.
I have 2 seconds. I have a full clip. I'm full.
EPM shot. They still got a guy unlit. They still have one bat unlit.
I should get him.
Bat static shot once.
Yo, in the open.
Static. Shoot static. 1101.
I hit him.
717. Let it.
He's tracked again. He's
Kill static. Firing.
E50M is still there.
This is Warbander. 712.
I bounced.
One shot.
I'm reloading.
Okay, we need to...
Wally, just wait. Wally.
Boy.
It's no. It's the bats.
The other bats
I have
there.
30.
Move in on.
The 50M is
Okay, I got the shot. Just the E50M's the only thing farming you guys. Just move in on them.
I have 25.
Right.
Go E50M.
Okay.
Stay down low, Drock. Stay down low.
Yeah. I'm just finding a guy across.
No, don't
Waiting
go,
for you.
don't go up high.
Don't
Do not
push
go
into
high.
the next ramp.
Go high.
I know.
Please do not go high. Let Ox do this.
What's your clip?
I have 10.
Okay.
Me and
Brett
Brett
going
just
first.
go. Okay.
Drock,
the
please.
50 shot.
I'm staying
Drop.
safe. I'm staying safe.
Alright, I'm going. I have 5 seconds.
Just don't let them leave. Kill
Warbander next. Kill nice.
Alright, I'm going. I'm loading.
Drock, watch this.
I am.
He's gonna try and leave.
That's what I'm gonna do.
He's gonna drag you guys in the open.
Wait, he
Just go
could be
together.
over here.
Now they find Lenev, who's sitting there in the bush. He's going to get focused out here by Ox. He doesn't know that he's reloading. So he's just going to run away, but this is pretty much over.
Yeah, this is cleanup now, essentially, for eClipse.
Great play by 07. Opening play anyways. They tried to make that play down the 1 line.
Absolutely.
Fosta just yellowed straight down that 4 line, getting the eyes. The problem was the second they did that, it triggered the push out of Eclipse. They dumped over down that 6 line. They found the heavy tanks for 07, and they managed to even out the trades and actually come out the better of it.
I really like the play. Fosta is a madman, and it kind of worked. I mean, they got a lot of damage onto the team of Eclipse. They even got a tank down, but overall, it was just Eclipse, being counter-aggressive and pretty much just putting the hurt on them.
Yep, and this is... If Eclipse pick up this game, which at this point you have to imagine they will, that's going to put them onto match point. Eclipse next have Ruinberg defense.
That's so tough for 07.
If you thought 07 had it tough already, things are going to get a bit harder for them in this next battle.
It is now 6-4. Eclipse leads, and like you said, the next map will be Ruinberg, with Eclipse starting on defense.
Yep, and that's something that they've done very well all season. Eclipse's defensive record on Ruinberg is 7-2 on the season. So they've had a couple slip-ups.
Right, and it is very possible still for 07 to make it work.
Absolutely.
But it's going to be so damn hard.
Yet. But yeah, it's going to be a monumental task they have to climb right now. It's going to have to be a very, very well-coordinated push out of 07 and whatever they end up doing to get this win. I hope they have something saved up that we haven't seen yet.
I really do too. But I mean, it was Brett and then Ox. This is exactly what we were talking about. Look at the spread here from the top 3 players of Eclipse. It was Brett, Drock, and Ox, all within 200 damage of each other, above 3,000. Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah, and Brett firing 26 shots. A good portion of that had to have been blind fire, but still pumping out a lot of shots. And then Exo, who was sitting down there in that bottom corner, just trying to farm what he could, only able to get off 2,500. And that's what I'm talking about in terms of the raw DPM is pretty low. So especially when you're trying to punish a push like the one High Voltage did onto their heavy tanks, it's just not really able enough to be a real deterrent. If you have a lot of time, to pump out shots and kind of chip away at them before they make a play, great. But in these sort of cases where you're just trying to punish the push and focus down guns quickly, it's not necessarily the best tank fest situation.
Yep, and Eclipse did call it a timeout. Maybe it's discussed. They kind of did stop the momentum train there of 07, and now they're trying to discuss it. Obviously, I'm sure the best defense to stop 07 completely on Ruinberg, as this is probably the most advantageous situation they're going to be in from this point forward.
Yep, absolutely. They played very well so far to this point, but going up against Eclipse on Ruinberg defense is going to be a challenge. Eclipse have typically run a very standard zero-line play. They've also kind of mixed in some six-line play. Just look at the scout run out of Foster, just straight down the three-line there. But if you look over on the mini-map, look at the other side. When they're doing this, Commodore over there, completely isolated, Master Pupil, and whoever that is over there with them, I can't see it, just go over with him, Drock over there. They just push over onto Commodore, they get him for free, and they're also punishing the bad shots at the same time. They just bled too much HP.
Yeah.
Which by design looks like a great play, but just at the end of the day, not enough. They took a little bit too much damage to make it happen. I like the thinking though. And now, once again, it's match point. It's 6-4. Another way to look at it right now is Eclipse have 3 rounds to play with to get a win. 07 have to win 3 straight.
Yeah, they have nothing left to give. There's no wiggle room here for 07. I mean, but I still think they can do it.
Yeah, well, if they can win a Ruinberg attack, that's going to leave the Ruinberg defense up next, which you have to imagine that if they've won the attack, they'll have momentum,
right.
And you think they can hold on, and then they can force overtime, and the overtime's going to send us back to Cliff.
Which went, yeah.
You know, it could go either way at this point, but I think.
But I mean, looking at Cliff, it was 2 straight for Eclipse.
Yep, exactly. So, and that's what I'm getting at. So at this point, if 07 can pick this round up, they might steal the momentum and keep things going. But they need to get the win right now to get things going. It has to happen right now. If they don't do this,
yeah,
obviously,
they have no second chances. It's either now or never.
Yep, and if they lose this, then they're playing in the 3rd place match versus the loser of Apex versus Deja Vu.
Which still also is a very big deal. I mean, winning that match not only gives you 3rd, gives you more money, but also gives you the possibility of still going to the Rumble as a sub in case something happens to one of the top 2 teams.
And also, the other thing you have to look at is just the point system they use to determine who goes to the Rumble at the end of the year. Well, this first season of the year is worth less points overall. Each of these teams have their own individual points separated. And if say they have a good performance in the second half, they get 2nd or 3rd, they'll total up, and they still could go to the Global Grand Finals at the end of next season.
All right, well, here we go into the final, potentially the final map between Eclipse and 07.
Ruinberg, a mixed type map. The defending team starts the battle on the green, and the attacking team starts at the center square of the town. Bases are located quite far from each other. Both bases are better controlled from the village when playing a heavy setup. It's better to attack the first base through the top direction with the help of several well-armored heavy tanks. For the attack on the second base, it's better to use a more mobile setup and either play through the center or split forces. In general, the map is not easy to play on. Teams often use blind shots and risky shifting of the forces from one flank to another.
And here we go. It is once again going to be Eclipse on defense, and they're going to bring 2 113s, 250Bs, 2 Batchats, and a 251. Meanwhile, 07 bring in 3 113s, a 50B, a Batchat. They're actually going to choose to bring in not a tier 8, but 2 tier 9s. And it's going to be both Batchats.
Yep, there's going to be Static up in the very top corner, who's already spotted.
I can also only imagine how much Meadowhawk is sweating right now watching this match.
Oh, he's staring very intensely at that screen right now. Looking at it, I don't think he hears us talking about him.
No.
That said, he's just so focused on this game. The push coming out of the 6th line here. 113's moving up, finding some shots onto these 113s of Eclipse. A lot of bounce shots coming out there. Tanks working this middle F line, 407, trying to find damage. Finally, a shot penetrating onto Drock.
I mean, but look at the trades. I mean, 3 tanks already of the side of 07 have taken damage and been penned. A nice shot here from Fosta working that angle. The this has to end in victory for 07. As it is a best of 13, it is going to be first to 7 Eclipse, as you can obviously see again on set point.
Even though this is all about timing right now. Now 07 are kind of in this interesting situation where these tanks on the 6th line are very susceptible to being overmatched between the tanks from Eclipse on the 6th line and also the ones over on the 0 line. If they collapse down, they're going to be isolated. Makos is in the south who could support them, but he's going to back out now like I predicted, and he's going to head over to the 1 line, and I expect to see him and Static group up and push over into B6, not even to kill wall hacks, but at that point they could shoot straight down the 6th line and have those heavy tanks completely isolated. If they do it right and they can kill them quickly, then this is going to go heavily in their favor. The problem is if the timing is done wrong or they're spotted too early, the heavy tanks for Eclipse can just push down the 6th line, start the engagement before those bat shots, can really get around that corner and get their guns on target, and it'll be all over for 07 if that happens.
And it does, I mean, control mostly of this map is in favor of Eclipse as far as the east goes.
Yep, and I like the recognition here out of 07. They realize that that's a problem, and they've actually pulled their bat shots back down into the south. They'll probably push up and over into the bat shot down at Kilo 0 at the same time as the heavy tanks making a play here. And that way all their guns stay together, they can support each other, and while it's still going to be a hard push to make, like I said, it doesn't leave them susceptible to that same sort of overmatch that could have happened in the north if they got spotted too early.
Well, at this point, I would like to take a listen in here and see exactly what the strategies are from 07.
50B. 50B.
He's behind a building.
2-1.
Makos, I'm gonna start working up 0 line if the bat chats all the way up north.
50B's cracked.
Petro's looking through the
50B
windows.
fired through crack. Yeah, through the crack.
Careful there,
We're
Petro can
good.
shoot.
Yeah. Both 113's fired. Makos is clipping. I'm almost out of feet, actually. 50B fired
Let
again.
him done.
I can't.
Can we get Vetro at all?
He's fired a lot.
If we go 0 line, we can't.
go
I want to
zero?
be very careful about this. We don't really have the pressure with the heavies
Vetro
to do
fired
this
3.
right now.
Vetro fired 3. We should
Okay,
go
can we
0 now
push?
if we're ever going to go 0.
Yeah, I'm gonna be clipping
Alright,
in a second.
13, I'm going here. I'm not
almost
sure
dead.
if
I can't.
it's a better option, I guess. Let if it's low.
They're HEing. They're HEing.
I'm clipping.
Getting.
No shots on anything until I clip.
T1, I have shots on T1, but he will back out.
0 line's clipping. We need to kill this now.
We need to kill this now.
All right, we gotta.
Whoa. Another HE shell fired.
I have 5
Excellent.
shells,
Excellent.
Makos.
They just
I might be
gonna
able to kill
HE
them.
let him.
Excellent. We gotta go around on them.
Mako's
basically.
head.
Yeah.
Mako's is full.
Yo, the bat stealth gotta. Can they get?
Okay, you ready?
I got
I
that.
can, I can engage Ox if he wants to
Want to
heavies
get under?
engage.
Can we go under?
Yeah,
113 fired 1.
We gotta go. We gotta go.
Go, you
Lead
guys
it.
gotta
Let
lead.
him-
You guys
stay
gotta
back.
lead. You guys
Yeah.
gotta lead.
Let him
yeah.
stay back.
People HE'd me again.
Go pupil.
I just got spotted.
Get up.
Focus.
I got
Focus.
people. I got
People
people.
first.
Oh, shit.
He shot 2, 3.
I'll kill people. I got people. Got it.
Draw.
Ox
Watch
shot
Wally.
4.
Watch
Ox shot
Wally.
4, Makos.
I got kill.
Okay.
Never mind.
Go.
Makos is reloading? Or
I'm being
Makos
clipped.
is
I'm
going?
being clipped. So.
Yeah. Fuck.
Nice try, guys.
Damn. It's just a fucking cliff. We threw 2 games.
And there it is. Eclipse will be moving the first team to the finals.
Yep, they're well on their way to defending their title. Once again, only one other team has won back-to-back titles in the history of North America, or North America Gold League, excuse me. And that was Fulcrum back in Season 1 and Season 2. No other team has had repeat titles back-to-back.
Well, Eclipse is well on their way to making it potentially happen.
And hats off to 07. They played so well throughout this series. They kept in it. They kept fighting. They kept coming up with, even some crazy strats here or there. That Proc attack was
Right.
borderline insane, but
It almost works, though it really did.
yeah, exactly. You can see what they were going for. They tried to get aggressive there, and it just didn't work out in the end. But overall, you got to take your hats off to them, or in a sense, give 07 and 07.
Yeah, but I mean, it was definitely not a 0-7 victory. 07 fought their butts off, and they played so well overall in the series. I really think that even though they lost, they are a team that can compete with eClipse, with the Apexes, with everyone, as long as they just play their best game. Now, obviously that's difficult, but you even heard it from themselves during the last bit of comms there. The team felt like they threw away Cliff. They really did.
Yeah, no, definitely. They could have played better on that map, but they just didn't. And the thing is eClipse had a very, very hard defense to break. The crossfire they were set up with, and that, to be fair, that was both their defense and offense. The crossfires they had set up, the early play, it was pretty different than some of the other defenses that we've seen in the past. We've been pretty critical of really stagnant defenses, but this was on a different level.
Look at Ox. This guy is ridiculous. 27,000 damage.
Now, there are extra games here played because it is best of 13, but
that's still
7K above the next best, which is his own teammates, and Drock and Brett at 20K a pop. That EXO doing what he could for his team. 93 shots through the series, 19,000 damage. And then 2-1 Diabetic, Vetro, and then Makos. Like I said, Makos has been very consistent for this team. Makos and Warband are both doing a lot, and they've kind of been the rocks for this team. They haven't ever been like the superstars that have just done insane stuff, but they've been that just bread and butter of the team that really just makes sure they get what needs to be done.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Meadowhawk that said EXO was probably the most nervous. I believe it was him saying it was EXO. So performing the way he did, hats off again to everyone on 07. But it is eClipse taking it out, and on stage right now with none other than Master Pupil is Tommy.
That's exactly right. And Master Pupil, you're full of confidence before this match, but they put up a good fight. How much tougher was this than you expected?
Well, we expected them to show up. They definitely did. They played with their hearts on their sleeves, and honestly, I was happy to see that. They really played past our expectations, and it was a great set of games.
And I know that you probably got your eye on the final, but I also need to just remark here that you're going to New York now for the Rumble. How does that feel?
Feels awesome, man. I get to, I don't have to fly. That's the amazing part. Living in New Jersey, I get to just drive up there, so I'm happy about that.
And what are you going to do from now and until the finals? There's, of course, the other semifinal, then you need to wait for the third, fourth match. What are you going to spend the time doing?
Eating.
And that's really it? And who do you really want to play in the final? If you could choose between Deja Vu and Apex, who would be the opponent you want?
I'm kind of sad that they're not in the seats, but the meme team Deja Vu is the team that I want to play against in the finals.
Okay, so now we know that. Let's just relive that defining moment of this first semifinal.
Under? Can we go under?
Yeah,
113 fired one.
We gotta go.
Go, you guys gotta lead. You guys gotta lead. You guys gotta lead.
Let him stay back.
Pupil HG'd me again.
Go Pupil.
I just got spotted.
Get up.
Focus.
I got Pupil
first.
He shot 2, 3.
I'll go Pupil. I got Pupil. Got it.
Ox shot 4. Ox shot 4, Makos.
I got kill.
Okay.
Never mind.
Go, girl. Makos is reloading? Or
I'm being flipped.
Yeah. Fuck.
And now I'm here with Foster, who's, of course, disappointed. Still the third, fourth place to play for. But first of all, there was a lot of praise from the commentators. Also sat down with Meadowhawk. A lot of praise and a lot of good play, but also a lot of maps like Muravanka. You had a tech there where you looked like you were going to take it, but then really didn't make that final push. How disappointed are you with that?
You know, it was just sort of one position. We had our 57s away from the IS-7, so they ended up recognizing that they could just collapse the IS-7. So it was over at that point, but he had Commodore and had nowhere else to go anyways. So it's just, you know, the fact that the 57s are so slow and Commodore also isn't very quick. It's just they took advantage.
And I also heard on your comms here in the end that you said we really threw 2 maps here, and Meadowhawk mentioned that on the couch too. Is that the way you feel, that you actually lost this game more than eClipse really won it?
Not the series as a whole. I guess maps isn't correct. I mean, like 2 specific battles. There's the Ghost Town attack, which I felt like we should have won. We lost Commodore for nothing, which was not going, you know, part of the plan. And then other than that, I would probably have to say that Muro attack we probably should have taken.
And what are you going to do from now on to pick your team up and get ready for that third, fourth place match?
I don't know, probably just relax. It's been a pretty long day already, so just want to take it easy and just watch some good gameplay.
I've got 2 analysts on the couch who are ready to break down this first semifinal. And of course, we have the other semifinal coming up. So stay tuned. We'll take a short break, but we'll be right back.